Are we good? Okay.
So I just have a quick point of information. And the process of tabling does not require a vote by the Senate bylaws. Tabling only moves a piece of legislation from one week's agenda to another. This is seen in Rule 5, Section E and subsection B, as well as precedent with Resolution 4618, which was tabled April 19th, 2017 for the week's meeting, for next week's meeting, and did not require a vote to get onto that agenda. I yield.
So just so I'm understanding, is that in the context of sending out any other typical piece of legislation, which has to be by Wednesday at 6:30 the week prior? Or does that include legislation that's already been looked at? Because from my understanding, what tabling means, whether it's tabled to a further date, whatever date that's tabled to, because usually there's a timeline, then I don't need anything sent to my email with any document. I just add that to the agenda, but that process wasn't done. So I'm kind of curious what it means in that context.
It would mean that it is up to your discretion whether or not to add it to the agenda.
Can you repeat where you saw that these in the rules?
Rule 5, Section E, subsection B.
Yeah.
Get the link,
Yeah.
but for the YouTube, that's public record. So I'm gonna see if we can just spice up the situation part, if we can.
She was just texting me. Now I can text her.
Or- just call her.
Yeah, you can just text her.
Rule 5 is the bylaw?
You're chilling.
Yes,
You can
Rule
take
5
it.
is time.
Wait, can you ask her like?
that is confidence.
I feel
business.
that just.
Yeah. I was just talking to her like.
Read the location one more time.
Say it for us once.
Yeah.
Rule 5, Section E, subsection B, B. And it states, tables all motions under consideration until the next session of the Senate.
Right, so that's the confidence business, which this one was tabled because confidence expired. This
But
was
it is-
tabled with the
Like,
resolution.
I'm not-
But it still
Yeah.
does show what tabling does.
She's a student. Like that.
Again, I hold the same opinion I did about 30 minutes ago. I think this is something the Supreme Court should handle.
Point of information, if this is not voted on now, then the bill is not needed because the sunset clause would have expired. And so anyone who would have needed to use this utility to go to the hospital would not be able to. I yield.
Things have already been done regarding this. It's up to the chair, apparently, from that interpretation we just heard from our Constitution Caucus chair on whether to have this on the agenda or not. Again, another one of those decisions that everyone's going to love, right? I'd entertain a motion for a 5-minute recess. While I consider this. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstentions. Be back at 8 o'clock.
Can I please get Dr. Dolan over here, please? Do you want your space? That's the question here for this.
Pardon?
Do you want to be bombarded or do you want just the people you're asking up for so far?
Yeah. So it's the well, nothing that
In regards to that,
like the context of the motion.
There's also there's no mention of tabling for inside the Constitution about this motion.
We just asked for Parker, and maybe Marcus.
The one thing I'm gonna say.
No, I'm coming up because I looked in the Constitution and there's only one mention that's talking about archiving.
Yeah,
So there's nothing really there for this type of thing. So it's up to you. You left it up to you, but if you gave us a vote.
Motions can only be dissented.
There's like 4 people talking and here's what I
That's all I
need.
wanted to
I,
Here's what I
I,
need. Here's what I need.
you're good. You're good now. I feel.
There's 2 votes. One, the person only wants to now. This one. Yeah, so like we can't speak on what the context around the situation in 2017 was. We don't know how that bill got to what it got to before. Yeah. Oh, so no, I don't know. So I would still say it's fully up to your discretion based on my knowledge of the Constitution. But the information I will give you is that you saw the overwhelming part of your Senate vote not to. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's up to your discretion.
Well, it was 16 in favor, 13 against, but it still didn't meet the 2.
Oh, so I thought it was
There were 12 abstentions.
there's 12 abstentions in this one.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, personally, completely disregarding any sort of legal things, I would personally say just include on the agenda because if people disagree with it, they can always just vote against it. There's no harm in hearing it, but well, I mean, the thing is,
Very rarely.
is that okay? I mean, that doesn't work because
Let me show you the.
you would have any bill that's like that's from like last session, I believe is tabled indefinitely. That it can't be brought up.
I guess what problem is right now. You know what? Did you need Advil on? I need ibuprofen to be honest.
What do you need? 500? I'm okay. I bring a handful of pills to this bit.
You have Advil for 500? Give me 3.
No, that's 500.
I usually take 1,000.
Then 2, because this is like extra chunks. Like I physically
You
take.
guys can decide. You can decide.
I, as a person, will not give you 1,500 grams of pain.
Well, what's the name? You should have taken naproxen, but I forgot my pills.
All these other pieces, there's no precedent for it. There's nothing. We're trying to make a conversation off of knowledge. I think either way you go. Either way you go. Yeah.
And there was a piece of legislation that wasn't on the agenda. It got added to the agenda. I mean, it was added on the agenda. That was, so I don't know. I think it would be unfair if we didn't add that to the agenda. Well, the ADA. It was considered urgent. And that was the sunset clause. Sit back down with it.
You'll find out.
We'll find out.
You'll find out.
Please get back to your seats.
sit down, Benjamin.
Thank you.
So there was quite a bit of deliberation up here. And in the context of this session, when we did add a bill to the agenda because of the urgent nature of it, the ADA van bill. In the context of Senator Correa's bill, it is urgent since the sunset clause expires on the 31st. And I mean, pending a Supreme Court opinion based upon the decision that's made tonight. Since it's the chair's discretion on whether it could be added to the agenda after it's tabled, we're going to put it on the agenda. So that's the final call.
That's old business, right?
Yeah. Now we'll move into executive reports. Is there anyone from the executive branch that wishes to report?
All right, how are we doing this microphone thing?
The mic. Oh, yes, she had the mic.
She just take it?
Did she give you? Oh, okay.
All right, can everyone hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. So my name is Hayden Deason. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And if you don't know me yet, I am Chief of Staff for the Executive Branch. As for updates, really quick about that rebrand thing that you all just got a presentation on, we were informed that we'd like to keep that pretty confidential if we can, because the presenters were not aware that they were being recorded, put on YouTube, etc. You know, just for the interest of keeping it kind of quiet because of our competitors. CU, you know, we don't want them to know what we're doing. So thank you for your discretion regarding that. Additionally, as for updates with Senate, right now what I'm doing is conducting mid-year evaluations. I'm having everybody do a self-evaluation, as well as for the directors, Jason Waller and I, he's not here right now. Jason Waller and I are evaluating the directors that we meet with on a regular basis, just because we know and are a little bit more in tune with what they're doing. Additionally, we're having the directors fill out evaluations for their deputies, because that's kind of how the chain of command goes down. And then today we had that presentation, and then also we had a fun little white elephant in exec. I got fully built gingerbread house, and then a not built gingerbread house, and like plates to eat it with. It was so interesting. Anyway, I loved it. It was very fun. I was very glad to be able to celebrate and have kind of a chill thing for Dead Week with everybody in cabinet. And then tonight we are hopefully going to be ratifying our new director of campus and community engagement, Meron Sium. And no, I'm very excited for that. She's rad. And the reason that we're doing that is because the previous director of campus, did I say it wrong? Campus and community engagement? Okay. Campus and community engagement, she is graduating, and we were actually able to celebrate her and give her flowers in cabinet today as well. So we were very grateful for that. I think as far as my updates go, that is all. Thank you.
All right, hello, y'all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elijah Sandoval. I use the she, they pronouns, and I am your student body vice president. And first and foremost, I want all of y'all to give yourselves a pat on the back for reaching the end of the fall semester. I know it's been, I know it's been a very bumpy ride. For me personally, it has been a semester of growth and self-reflection, and I'm very honored that I've had that, especially in this space. So congratulations to each and every one of you for making it to the end of the fall semester. First things first, I want to introduce the SFRB Vice Chair, Mr. Dane Rossler. If you want to stand up, raise your hand. Dane is a second year on SFRB. He is returning just like myself, and I'm very happy to have you part of our team. Speaking of SFRB, we have a total of 15 members. Yeah. I talked to Mike Ellis and I found out that this is the largest SFRB board that we have had since before COVID. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to getting some people ratified tonight. I had the honor of speaking at the Graduate Student Council last night, talking about SFRB. I got some interest in that from graduate students, so I'm really excited about that. And yeah, our next meeting for SFRB is going to be January 23rd, and that's when we will start voting on student fees. So if you all have any questions about that or want me to bring up any concerns, my office, I'm not always in my office, but I am available through Slack. Thanks, y'all.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rob Long. I serve as the CSU Student Body President. So I don't have many updates for this upcoming or for the past week. I was at Board of Governors where the biggest highlight was Amy Parsons was named the sole finalist for the next CSU president. So the next Board of Governors meeting is December 16th. If you have any comments about Amy Parsons that you want communicated to the Board of Governors, let me know, and I'll communicate those comments. Speaker Salvo and I met with Janice Nerger, the interim provost for CSU, on Monday, and we just kind of communicated some projects that are going on. And then also last Friday, I met with Doug Megan, the father of the late Sydney Megan, who passed away this semester in the dorms. They're currently setting up a memorial fund for Sydney in her honor. And I'll be working closely with Doug Megan and the Megan family for those purposes. And beyond that, similar to what Vice President Sandoval said, pat yourself on the back for making it through. It's been a tough semester. And yeah, just hope everyone has a good break.
Hi friends, it's Charlie, they them pronouns. I'm the Director of Diversity and Inclusion for the Executive Branch. Couple updates for y'all. The Groom Transportation Project is up and running, headed by McHugh, who's the Deputy Director of International Affairs. So free rides to the airport over winter break. It's a really amazing program. The marketing is up for that. So if you're looking for the code, I believe it's just ASCSU 2022. But it's really helpful if you're traveling for the holidays. For me personally, for my SDPS video project promotion, things got kind of stalled, but we're really excited to get hit the ground running in January with that. I had a third thing to say. I don't remember what it was. Oh, as far as SDPS events for the rest of the semester, as always, you can talk to SDPS senators. For me and the whiteboard calendar in the back of the office, it's a little bit dry because it's December. Everybody's closing things down, but I'm really excited. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up in the spring. A lot of fun keynote events. So keep an eye out for that. As always, let me know if you need anything. Thanks, friends.
Hi everyone, I'm Evan Welch. I'm the Director of Governmental Affairs. And so basically, as I said before, I basically do a lot of governments. One of those governments is the city of Fort Collins. And last night on Tuesday, I introduced myself and and the committee that we're doing, which is kind of our LSAB called the City Council Action Committee. And what this committee does, and it's a branch of LSAB, is basically we're going to tell you about what City Council is doing. It's going to be non-AC students and students, so it's going to mix of both. And also, to talk about what City Council is doing. And also, on the Tuesday nights when City Council is in session, we're going to go down to the City Council, and during so they have just like gallery input here. They have the same thing during their gallery input. It's not called gallery input, where you can introduce yourself, say you're a student here, and just say how this town is affecting you, and if there's any policies that you want to be changed, including plus 2 or others. And another thing I learned from city council that I think all senators can learn, use is so they create a resolution, a policy, and when they're working on it, they thought always to get input from the town. They're like, nah, we actually shouldn't do that. It'll be fine. Turns out it wasn't fine. Now they're getting slacked on for not getting what the people wanted. So I strongly encourage, if you're ever working on a bill and you're like, hey, maybe I should see what people think about it, I strongly encourage you to work on that and get people's input. That'll make it way better. No matter what you do, it won't be as bad as what the city council is dealing with, so you'll be fine. But I don't want any of you to do what city council has to deal with now, and do even more work, which sounds fun for them. And the second thing is, so I also have legislative strategic advisory board. We are meeting with the state reps through Zoom on Friday at 12 o'clock, which happens to be the same time at coffee with the court. So if you're taking coffee with the court to talk to Marcus and other great people in Supreme Court, and you're kind of like really enjoying that conversation with Marcus from our Supreme Court, you want to take a quick break, I strongly encourage you to come into the conference room. You can sit down there, you can hear about what the state representatives have to say. They'll be talking about what they plan on working on bills during the summer assembly year, and we'll be asking them like how we can help and like what suggestions we have for them. So if you want to come to that, it's on this Friday, 12 to 1, and we'll be chatting with them. It's a great way to just know what our state reps are doing. Those are my 2 points, or 2 things I have to say. So all of you have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your Senate session. And I have no idea who I hand this to. Oh, and then this is the committee. Execute. Well. And if you do want to join that city council action committee, either text me through Slack or fill out this Google form. Well, actually, it's Microsoft form. Either one, this form is going to be at the back of the Senate. Thank you.
Judicial reports.
How are y'all doing today? I just have a couple of quick announcements. Like Rob Long, I was gone this last week at a leadership conference in California. I was with my man Alonzo over there. Had a good time in Long Beach. But we just have a couple short things. First off, we have Coffee with the Court, December 9th, this Friday, 12 to 3. Like Evan said, there's also opportunity to talk to state legislators in the conference room over Zoom from 12 to 1. So please come early, get some coffee. I got a little bit more than last time, but we are liable to run out, just so you guys know, so y'all know. And we also have hot chocolate there also. Another thing we have going on is there's this licensing karaoke night for the students still at the Best Western, and that will take place tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Best Western, I assume. If you want more information, email Akil, the Director of Internal Affairs, on that situation. But basically, we just need some volunteers to go talk to the students and also hand out pizza. If you volunteer, we'll also give you pizza. Me and Jorge will be there, so it'll be another great opportunity to talk to us. Have a great time. My last thing I want to leave you all with is any Supreme Court opinions that you guys want to submit will not be seen until January. I gave my court the rest of the year off. We're having a good time. Hopefully y'all give yourselves the space and the energy to get through this final season. I know it's extremely difficult and stressing for a lot of y'all, but you are not defined by your grades. You're more than your grades. You're more than the academic achievement that the school pressures of you. And I really hope that I see y'all on December 9th because it is also my birthday. So hope you all stay safe. See you guys in January. See y'all in January.
I would like to motion to move Constitution Caucus reports below judicial reports.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Go ahead, Chair Doyle.
So I just want to move the Constitution Caucus reports to now, so that way everyone's here. Constitution Caucus has almost finished reviewing the Constitution and coming up with its updates. So in the coming few weeks of Senate, I shall be making a motion to dissolve Constitution Caucus as we have fulfilled our purpose. That is it. Oh, wait. This week we will be going over the last few sections of the Constitution. Yeah, I'm done. I yield.
Thank you. We good with judicial reports as well?
Yeah, I just forgot that I have not introduced myself in a while. My name is Marcus Zacharias. I use the he series of pronouns. My office hours are from 12 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I wasn't here this week. Like I said, I gave my court the week off. But starting in January, I'll be there. I'm available over email. You can get that on the ASCSU website. Also, if you ever email me and I respond to you, you will also have my phone number. I'm available over my phone number. Just please keep it within business hours. If you text me at 2 a.m., I will not respond. I will laugh at you. But just so all y'all know, my name is Marcus Zacharias, and I'm in the back of the office. Come speak to me whenever y'all feel like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get into confidence business, I really want to make this brief because we are at 8:17 and we haven't even gotten to confidence business yet. When I took this position, when I campaigned for this position, I was under the fiction that the speaker has the influence, and the role of the speaker is to kind of unite the Senate, coalition build. Now that I'm in this role, I understand that that's absolute garbage. The speaker does not have the opportunity to do that. The only people who can do that are sitting right in front of me. They're made up of SDPS offices, college councils, AOBS, First Gen Collective Board, and Multi-Faith Belief Council. We're the ASCSU Senate, not the United States Senate. We deal with things that are much less partisan. And at the end of the day, our goals should be to serve the students in whatever capacity that is. And when I hear folks in discussion and debate refer to their friends on the other side of the aisle, it hurts me, because that's not what we do here. And that's not what we should do here. I understand the value in coalition building and trying to get your agenda passed. But at the end of the day, I realize that people pour so much into the legislation that they write because it's personal to them. They care about the things that they write about, want to throw money at. But it's a legislative body, and at the end of the day, there are going to be people that disagree with you. But I urge you, ending this semester and going into next semester, please try to work together. Please. Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for other people in this room, because I know there are people in this room who absolutely despise each other. Leave that garbage at the door. Please. Please. So going forward with what we have on the docket, because it's a lot, please keep that in mind. Please. We'll now move into confidence business. We'll now move, yeah, go Rams. We'll now move into confidence business. Will the parliamentarian please put 2 hours on the confidence clock? The first thing on the agenda is the ratification of Director of Campus Community. Yes. No, you might have to flip it up.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Give it a sec. It should be good now.
Yeah, I think it works.
All right, everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. All right. So everyone, I would like to introduce you to Meron Sium, correct? Awesome. All right. Meron, I got to work in ASCSU last year as the Deputy Director of Graphic Design. We were really impressed with her work back then, and I've been very impressed with her work since. She's worked a lot with Africans United and has done a lot in regard to what's it called? Event planning for Africans United. And during her interview, I was very, very impressed with everything that she's done and her ability to solve conflict. Additionally, I was very impressed with all of the ideas that she had for this position. And I really had the feeling that if she were to step into this role tomorrow, she would be able to pick right up where Faith left off. And so I'm very, very honored to introduce her. And Rob, do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
Ditto.
Okay. All right. And then what's your major again?
Journalism and media communication.
Awesome. All right. I'll hand it off to Meron.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Meron Sium. I am a third year here at CSU, and I am studying journalism and media communication with a minor in business administration.
So I originally saw the posting for the position and I thought it would be perfect with my major and just, I was in ASCSU last year. And so being able to like step back into the mix of things would be great. So during my interview, some of the things that I was thinking of for like uniting just ASCSU and just campus as a whole is just, I have to, speak to Faith about like what we have already going on. But I think like, having a calendar for other things going on campus, I feel like there's a lot of different clubs and organizations that I'm still learning about as a third year. I have friends who have never like stepped foot into the UCA and like experienced other things on campus. I'm pretty curious, and so I'm always wandering into random buildings, like meeting new people and stuff. And so some of the ideas that I had are just like maybe creating like a campus calendar or like using the ones that we do have around campus and being able to showcase some of the stuff that the clubs here have. I feel like there's a lot of cool things going on. Like this semester, I had the opportunity of spending more time at the UCA because of some friends that I had there. And so I was able to go to, I saw Spring Awakening, I went to Symphony, and I went to a couple of jazz combos. And I don't think that people know that we have these things on campus. And so just using calendars and different ways to unite like the different clubs and stuff. Obviously this is a stretch. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but like fun little like game nights that we can do within ASCSU to kind of get the branches to get together and bond a little bit more. And I think extending that also to the rest of campus would be great. Like volleyball nights at the rec and maybe having like a representative from every club come just so we can all get to know each other a little bit more. But CSU in general has a lot going on. And so just being able to put a spotlight on that through media and just event planning and those kind of things were some of the ideas that I had for next semester. Thank you.
Fantastic. And with that, we'll open up to 10 minutes of Q&A, starting with the first raised placard, Chair Salazar.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. I'm kind of rushed to it. Anyway, how do you plan to represent the SCPS offices and the office of, at your position, I'm saying, whatever is applicable to you?
I think that I've like been in and out of a couple of the offices, more frequently in the back office, but I think that the SGPS offices have a lot going for them and they have a lot of different events that they usually hold. I don't think that the attendance at these events are ever grand. And so finding ways to incorporate, just like maybe do partnerships with ASCSU or with Cabinet. And so these events, like instead of creating some of our own, just kind of like combining them and putting more of a spotlight on them, utilizing the Instagram, like the stories just to like, advertise for these events long before they happen, and just maybe working with the director of diversity and inclusion, so we can also just be able to working with the director just to like get more attendance at these events and stuff. I don't think we should create anything new, but kind of just like help advertise the things that are already going on in those offices.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Senator Jensen.
Yeah, so you're sort of answered one part of my question I was going to ask, but what is your sort of broader vision for this? What is your sort of like statement goal that you want to accomplish by you being in this role? What is your overarching sort of goal with being in this?
I think within, because the position, it's like working within ASCSU and like uniting the branches, but also doing the same thing for the rest of campus. I think just like generally kind of helping people understand that there's a lot already happening on CSU's campus and making them understand or helping people understand that with their curiosity and like with their like extra time and stuff, there are things that you can do on this campus to kind of get involved and like just like helping put a spotlight on everything that we already have going on here. I think that through like social media and just different events and stuff, I want to be able to help people have that, gain that natural curiosity for like going out and doing random things throughout university.
Awesome, thank you. I look forward to seeing what you're able to accomplish in your role.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Athey. Senator Athey, sorry.
How do you plan to uphold the university and ASCSU initiatives of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think that with me, I have a lot of like intersecting identities that already are, like I feel like there's a lot of diversity here and I have a lot of different intersecting identities myself. And I think that being able to kind of always understand that there's more to learn and being open to hearing other point of views and stuff, I feel like that's one way that I plan on doing that. but helping others see that there's always a different side and to almost anything, and helping people understand that. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, so helping people just like kind of keep an open mind that their point of view and their point of view is not only the only one on campus, and that there's always other perspectives to be considered and stuff. And I think that through working with different offices and different working with different departments and stuff, I think that would be a great way to put a spotlight on the diversity that we have here on campus.
Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you. Any other questions for this candidate? Yes, Chair Salazar.
I motion to begin this question.
Okay, so all those in favor of ending the Q&A period, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? I'll just consider that a gavel bang since it was loud. If we could have the candidates step out while we enter discussion and debate. Thank you. All right, we'll begin 20 minutes of discussion and debate, starting with the first race placard. I think I saw Officer Bukhari, Senator Athey, and then Dinson. Oh, and then Chair, I'm sorry. Go ahead, yeah.
Howdy, y'all. I'd like to endorse this candidate with like 100% of my being. Marilyn is an amazing person. She's also worked in housing. And I can, what's it called? Vouch, yeah, thanks. For her merits. And she's also an amazing artist. If you don't know that, I encourage y'all to peep the socials, and her LinkedIn looks amazing. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Athey.
Okay, I'll make myself clear. I plan to vote yes on this candidate. I think their answers were great, and I simply want to bring one thing to the Senate's attention, that Vice President Sandoval didn't have any input on this candidate. I still plan to vote yes. I still think that she was great, but I just want the Senate to be aware that this was a decision made by just the president. Thank you, I do.
Senator.
Point of clarification, I did talk to Vice President Sandoval about this candidate. I asked for her approval and she said yes, Senator Athey.
You're the best. Will you respond to this? Because I got a text like 10 minutes ago that was it. So I will resend it if that is not true.
So yes, sorry, President Long did talk to me about it, saying that this was his decision. However, I did not have a part in the interviewing the other candidates.
I still plan to vote yes on this candidate, though.
Senator Dinson.
Yeah, same based off what I've seen and what she can do, the answer she gave. I look forward to seeing what she's doing, and I motioned the previous question.
We do have one more person on the speakers list.
I'd like to make the motion to exhaust these speakers list then.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor of exhausting the speakers list, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Chair Salazar.
Okay, yes, hello, everybody. Personally, I'm a little biased because I know Moran personally. She's a wonderful person. I'm not going to reiterate what everybody else already said because she's a great individual, but I will motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
So I think what we'd have to do is motion to previous question first, and then once that's done, then you can make that motion.
I'll make a motion to previous question.
Okay.
Wait, point of order, or we already exhausted speakers list, we already go into,
You the last one on the speaker list?
yeah. I'm pretty, unless
Yeah,
we're incorrect.
sorry.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so we don't go back.
Okay,
to that.
so is there any dissent to that motion to approve this candidate by unanimous consent? Seeing none, this candidate passes. We could bring her back in. Congratulations.
I state your name,
I, Madeline Sue,
do solemnly swear to defend and uphold
do solemnly swear to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations set forth by the Constitution
the rules and regulations set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. We'll now move on to the election of the Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair. So for this, I'll take self-nominations or nominations for others for this position. Chair Aslan,
I nominate Senator Ritter for the position.
Senator Ritter, do you accept?
I accept.
Okay. So we have Senator Ritter as a candidate. Chair Venture,
I nominate Senator Reese.
Senator Reese, do you accept?
I accept.
We have Senator Reese. Are there any other nominations or self-nominations, President Long?
I nominate Senator Cordero.
Senator Cordero, do you accept?
Sure.
Yes, Officer Bukhari.
I nominate Senator Bouchara.
Senator Bouchard, do you accept?
No.
Are there any? Senator Hill.
I nominate Senator Deason. I nominate Senator Denson.
You sit right next to me.
Senator Denson. Okay. Okay. Are there any other nominations or self-nominations for Budgetary Affairs Chair? Okay. So we do have 4 candidates for this. I'll do it in the order that they were.
Mr. Speaker, just to do a point of clarification really quick, if you have a previous position within the Senate space, and you do get accepted into this, you will have to rescind that. So Senator Denson, for example, you'll have to step down as vice chair. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Okay. beautiful. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll do this in the Senator Torres. Okay. Well, I'll do this in the order that the nominations were. So Senator Ritter will go first. And then I'll ask all other candidates to step out of the room as well while she's answering questions and presenting, if we could do that. Like now, yeah. We will also be cutting off at 11 because it is Revive Week, the week before finals, not Dead Week, Revive Week.
It's not this one.
Pardon?
Into new business.
Okay, Senator Ritter, you have some time to present. So whenever you're ready.
I need a microphone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It should be on.
Hello. Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's finals week is going well, or not finals week, dead week, but soon to be finals week coming up. What? Oh, yeah. So I'm Senator Mia Ritter. I go by she, her, hers. I'm a 3rd-year student. I am in the College of Agricultural Sciences, and I am an animal science major with a minor in Spanish, and I'm a pre-vet student, so I'm in STEM. I have served as the previous Diversity Inclusion Caucus chair last year for the year of 2021 to 22. So I have some experience chairing. I also currently serve as the Inclusive Community Assistant in residential housing, and this is my 2nd year doing that at Academic Village. So I work as a NAC SDPS liaison for honors and engineering students, mostly 1st years. And yeah, it's a little bit about me. So some things is I plan to uphold the University and ASCSU initiatives of diversity, equity, and inclusion by, well, I am DEIJ. I think it's safe to say that it's a big aspect of my life and things that in positions that I've held in some positions and spaces, and that's how I kind of carry myself. I intend to ensure that I'm always representing all identities by continuing to be an active listener. I feel that it is a big part of me as I love to listen and help others. Hence, why I decided to become a mentor for students in housing. So it's kind of an environment that I love to put myself in as well, to listen to all students. Especially for students that are coming into their first year and it's a bit scary for them. So I love to serve as a mentor for them. I will recognize my inherent biases by making sure I listen to all identities and not just my own. And my goals for this position is to pretty much provide a safe space for all to come to this committee and to make sure through our important legislation are in a mediated environment. As that's something that I really focused on is in my previous chair time for the D&I caucus. I have read the job descriptions and bylaws regarding this position, and I have a clear understanding of it. The past 2 years, as I have been a senator, I have been attending the Budgetary Affairs Committee whenever the previous chairs were in that position. And I haven't been able to go this semester because I've had lab during this time as a STEM major. So I haven't been able to attend this semester, but the previous past 2 years I have been attending, so I have understanding of how the committees do work. I have also served on the legislative cabinet last year as the chairwoman for D&I caucus, like I said before, and the year before as an interim chair as the previous chair, Tover, was leading in that position. So I have some experience serving as a team, serving with a team as well. A way that I plan to balance work, ASCSU, and school is, well, I looked at my schedule before I planned on committing to this role to make sure I did have time for it, and I do. As next semester, I'll be taking about 14, 15 credits, and so I know I'll have time to balance all the positions that I hold and something that I really, really do want to do. So that is something that I will prioritize. And I wanted to apply for this position because I really do miss chairing, and budgetary would be different from what I have done before in my chair position in the D&I caucus. So I think it'd be a really nice change and something that I am familiar with. So something that would be really exciting. But I will continue to uphold my involvement with SDPS offices as I have been before, and as far for input from other senators, as I don't directly work with along with my senators. So I will always take that input. And you know, as a chair, I believe with last year and the year before, you know, I plan to represent all students and all identities and not just the one that I hold by listening to all students, and that anytime I have with, I plan to provide a safe space, an environment for any student or senator, et cetera, to come, and anybody that wants to chat with me. I truly, really do love, you know, chit-chatting with new people and having nice conversations. So if I was chair, I plan to get that. That's it for me.
Thank you. We'll now have 10 minutes of Q&A, starting with the first raised placard. Yep, Chair Mincher.
Hello, and thank you for considering becoming part of this position. If you could describe like the role of Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair and the main aspects of what you would be doing, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so as the Budgetary Affairs Chair, I think that's a position that is really important, as you know, it handles a lot of financial business and a lot of legislation, a lot of the legislation that comes through, and I think it's very fragile and very important to, you know, kind of go through all those details and, you know, hear everybody's perspectives of what they have on the legislation or those bills or anything that comes through. And so I think as a chair position, I think it's really important as a chair to be very unbiased and mediated with everybody else that comes in. And I know in the previous position that I have served, sometimes it did get a little bit out of hand. So my plan is to make sure I hold what I have been before, such as making sure it's a neutral environment whenever there's certain discussions with the financial legislation. So if that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, and then how would you organize your committee? Do you think you'd stick with the structure that it has now, or if you changed it, what things would you change?
I'm not too familiar with the structure that you have now, but in the previous 2 years, the way that we structured it was by going by, so I would always create an agenda for a D&I caucus, and so making sure that we would discuss things kind of like we do in Senate, like kind of an old business, new business sort of situation, and making sure we got through as much legislation as we could during the meeting. considering, we only have that 1 hour a week, and sometimes there'd be little emergency sessions if we needed to in the past 2 years. So kind of creating that same structure as the agenda has been the past 2 years. If that's something that you kept the same, then yes. But that's something I plan to do in terms of like prioritizing certain legislation, depending on the situation and what everybody in the committee wants to do.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Chair Osland.
Hi, I really thought I was third on the speaking list. So as a chair, you would have to be dedicated to being as impartial as humanly possible in the space. How will you make sure that you are able to make those decisions when, like, to keep yourself impartial and knowing when to step away and let your vice chair take over if you feel you cannot be impartial?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. So as my previous time as a chair before, and whenever I worked with Diego, or Chair Diego, previous Chair Diego Tovar beforehand, of course, if there's certain legislation that I did want to be impartial, is that the word I'm looking for, impartial on? I would step down from my chair position and let my vice chair take over. Even if it was a certain legislation that I maybe couldn't handle, maybe, depending on the situation, what happens, I would step down from that to make sure it was as media neutral and unbiased as possible. Because as a chair, I think I did a really pretty good job. Hopefully, some others can say that how I did last year. I was pretty unbiased on everything that we talked about, and sorry, I was thinking about what I was saying before. I don't know if it makes sense, but basically being unbiased on that certain legislation and, stepping down if I needed to, and, continuing to do what I did last year as being unbiased as possible.
All right, and then secondly, how will you balance work, if applicable, school and ASCSU duties in this position?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. So, how I plan to balance all those, extracurriculars, things like that was, I've made sure before I wanted to do this position, as this is something I was thinking about doing for a while, making sure that I am not putting too much on myself in terms of like my schedule next semester. It shouldn't be too crazy, and, stepping it a little bit crazy sometimes with the amount of work I have to do, but knowing what my schedule is like next semester, I should be fine. Balancing all the work that I have to do in Budgetary Affairs Committee, as well as my current job that I have right now as well. So I think the balance will be pretty neutral for me, and I'll be able to handle all of things.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you. Any other questions for this candidate? Yes, Senator Morgan.
Hi. So since you haven't been to budgetary affairs this semester, have you been involved with the previous budgetary affairs chairs? Could you explain on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have been. I don't currently have any more contact with the previous chair from 2 years ago, but the chair last year, Chair Osterhout, she did a fantastic job running the Budgetary Affairs Committee, and I still see her almost every day. And I actually talked to her about this position and, discussed with her if it was the right position for me before I did this. And, kind of talked about the context of the job description, as well as looking at the bylaws and things like that, and making sure it was something that I could really handle. And, talking with her made me feel a lot better because, this is something, if I do have questions on, I'm always able to talk to that previous chair for any input I need to.
I yield.
Thank you. Any other questions for this candidate? Seeing none, you could go ahead and step out and bring the next candidate in. I think it's Senator Reese.
They might be over. Are they over there? I think she's walking around. She'll probably find him. I don't know.
Crazy weather we've been having. Snow and stuff, Colorado, that's big Colorado energy. If you ask me. Big Colorado.
Waiting for that one word.
Yeah. All right. Senator Reese getting the hot seat. You have 5 minutes to present whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Theo Reese. I'm a Center for the Cultural Liberal Arts. I'm majoring in political science with a minor in legal studies and economics. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too good at speeches or public speaking in general, so I hope you'll forgive me if I just kind of read off this. I have paper, but it's a document. I want to start off by addressing some concerns that people might have. And I hope to answer some potential questions, because being in the space for a while, I know people have some pretty standard questions for themselves. Is this working? I can't really.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. There's no secret that I've missed some Senate sessions or two and have not been to every budgetary affairs meeting or all the meetings of my general college council. To be totally honest with you all, I missed some of those because I'm currently taking 5 classes for a total of 15 credits a semester. I also have a job at Durrell Dining Center where I am a production supervisor. For the combination of these classes, all of which are upper level courses, and all the required countless pages of reading and writing, 6-hour shifts, and along with attending ASCSU Senate, it was kind of hard for me to find to kind of stay on top of my work. So whenever I fell behind, I chose to miss ASCSU because I felt with the looming deadlines of rent and schoolwork, I would not be able to provide my undivided attention and represent the students of CSU to the best of my ability. However, where this story changes is next semester, where I will only be taking 4 classes for a total of 12 credits. Now, this might not seem like a huge change, but speaking from personal experience, that one less class frees up a lot of my time more. I will no longer just have another 10 pages to read. No, there will be one more paper to outline, one more problem set I need to get done. Instead of time will be spent this semester reallocated to ASCSU. It's because I'm taking one of this class, I feel confident in my ability to be an effective chair. And effective for all people, regardless of gender, age, ability, orientation, race, ethnicity, or ideology. I know that I have not typically been the best ally to some individuals in this room, for which I am terribly sorry. Please know it was never my intention to make this space, or any space, hostile, threatening, or unwelcome. This new time I have focusing ASCSU will also include attending various SDPS events and speaking with constituents from other colleges and offices, so I may better understand what the whole student body needs and not just a select few. Now I shall move on to some qualifications for why I believe I'm an individual who's best suited for this position. Going into my second semester as a third year, I've been on this campus for more than 2 years now and understand what areas of this campus and CSU in general needs improvement. For example, who remembers that awful morning when the entire campus grounds were covered in ice? Like they were literally just like frozen over. Maybe like got to kind of glide across class, and like some people, I'm sure also the barstool post be like falling over the bikes and breaking some bones. But to me, that's kind of sad. That's a failing on the part of one CSU, two, I want to say us, because as I guess safety is kind of the most basic kind of fundamental thing ASCSU needs to look at when it comes to students. Because of this, I've begun research into drafting a resolution with the effects of holding CSU accountable and responsible for the safety of its students. I feel like this is especially pertinent now because it's getting colder, the winter season's upon us, and snow is coming. However, I understand as chair is my role, and more importantly, my duty to remain impartial when I'm running the committee. Additionally, it is my role to facilitate conversation within the committee and ensure that everyone's voices and ideas are heard. To me, facilitating conversation simply means letting those with the ideas talk about the problems that they see and then come to a mutual solution. However, sometimes this does not happen, and therefore it is my role as chair to simply ask each side how they feel about the other side's proposed solutions, and hopefully we can find a middle ground somewhere. And that middle ground is typically the best possible solution that can be found and thus implemented. This is why I encourage all members of ASCSU to come to budgetary affairs today, because I believe all voices and concerns should be heard when it comes to allocating student fees. being vice chair this semester for budgetary affairs, I was really able to watch how Chair Rencher mastered the chair position. Her enthusiastic spirit at every committee. Her enthusiastic spirit at every committee meeting and insightful questions really set an amazing example. I had an honor of watching and learning from her. It's my goal to bring the same energy to committee and to all the work I do for ASU, ASCSU, and the student body. I've read the ASCSU Constitution, the Senate bylaws, the budgetary affairs bylaws, and I believe my understanding of the documents is adequate. If elected to the position, it will be my goal over the break to become more familiar with these documents and hope that my knowledge will soon rival Chair Doyle's and Senator Hazy's. Yes, I know it's a lofty goal, but you got to aim somewhere. With all said, I would like to thank all of you for your time, attention, and consideration. And even if I'm not the next year, I know you guys will pick an amazing person.
Hello. Thank you. 10 minutes of Q&A, first race placard, Chair Oslan.
I'm ready this time. All right, so as a chair, you would be dedicated to having to be impartial in the space. How would you make sure that you hold yourself accountable to remaining impartial, including needing to step down and allowing your vice chair to go over a document to remain that impartial voice within the space?
I would absolutely step down. Like if was there ever a time that I saw or foresaw or see myself not being able to be impartial, I would absolutely step down as chair for the reading of the bill, so the committee could go over without my biases being involved at all. I do wholeheartedly believe that people in power should recognize their own biases and like learn that they can't have everything their way, because that's just not how the world functions. There need to be compromise. And if at that point I don't feel like I can be effective in finding that compromise, I would step down.
Secondly, you did talk about going to more SDPS events and becoming more like well educated or knowledgeable on like marginalized identities. So how would you plan to represent marginalized identities within the space of your committee, making sure that everyone within your committee has an equitable chance to be heard?
I believe that I can personally represent these voices to the best of their abilities. I will do so in every way possible, but I would encourage them to come, and I would ensure and as chair, make sure that their voices are heard. And essentially, like if I felt the voice was being kind of shut down and suppressed in a way, I would call that out immediately and try and like ensure that everyone's voice is heard equitably.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Rencher.
Thank you, Theo. How would you define the role of the Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair?
I would define the role of the Budgetary Affair Committee Chair as being one of impartiality and ensuring that the student fees that we are spending and allocating are used wisely and to the best use that students could have for them. So I know there's some concerns about how $8,000 was a bit too much for the 50 people in regards to the I keep wanting to say heartbeat bill. You can ask my girlfriend about this. The CPR bill. And so I was really hoping that individuals who had concerns about it would also come to the committee. And so I feel like it's part of my job as chair would be to encourage those individuals and everyone else who has concerns about it to come to the committee and voice those opinions.
Awesome. And then are you thinking of for organization of the committee, would you maintain the current organization, or going forward, how do you envision the organization of your committee?
By organization, do you mean like chair, vice chair, secretary?
Yeah, a good question. So the structure of the committee, like how would you make your agendas? Would you use the current like folders that are available for the committee members, or would you switch anything up?
Honestly, no, you've done an amazing job with, so for y'all who don't know, she has a public committee resources and a private committee resources. There's really no difference other than that the private committee resources has the attendance, like the minutes, which I'm sure if anyone has to see the minutes or the attendance sheet, we can make that publicly available. That's not an issue. I would also keep the vice chair and the secretary because I believe those are both very critical roles, or to one, have the minutes so people know what we are doing in the committee, and then two, to step down for impartial if I could not remain impartial. So no, I would continue with the current structure we have because I believe it's good, but I am open to any ideas people have to making it more equitable or accessible.
Thank you, and that is it.
Thank you, Chair Trout.
How do you plan to uphold the university and ASCSU initiatives of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Like I said before, I would attend multiple SDPS events and try and talk to other constituents and encourage my fellow senators from all offices and colleges to come to committee so they can have their voices heard. Because I know a big point of, don't want to say contention, I can't think of another word for it, of the DNI caucus becoming a committee was that there's not a lens that can be seen. There's no current forced lens that can be sorry, I'm saying it's very poorly. I would essentially encourage I would go to SDPS events and I would encourage people to come to committee as well to ensure their voices are being heard.
How do you plan to balance outside work, school, and ASCSU if that's applicable? I know you explained a little bit, but you'll go in a little bit further detail if you're comfortable.
Yes, of course. Like I said, I'm also planning on maintaining my position at the Rural Boundary House Production Supervisor. Those are typically 6-hour shifts, but I have pretty good relationship with the faculty there and I can have a pretty flexible work schedule. So then at that point, I would essentially start prioritizing ASCSU and the student body more than my own personal financial gain. And I did not do this semester, and that's probably I would attribute as part of my lack of being organized. I really take a board, like a sheet like this, and I write down Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all the dates and highly important ones, and I write down when my exams are, when papers are due, when drafts are due. So I plan on doing that a lot next semester.
And just last question, typically within the spring semester, committee times are up for changes and whatnot. So how, if you do decide to change the time of Budgetary Affairs Committee, how are you going to ensure that it's equitable for new and old members to attend?
I would send out various polls throughout. I will start sending, if I become chair, I will start sending out polls over break just to just various times, what times work for people, because I believe most people have their schedule more or less kind of figured out. And even then I'd be open to changing it if more people come up to me after the break and say, hey, we really prefer this time, because then a whole bunch of people could come. I'm again open to changing almost any part of Budgetary Affairs Committee to make it more equitable and accessible for individuals.
Awesome. Thank you for your answers. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Kilburn.
So in the last semester, we had a few initiatives that the actual committee itself followed through with. So I know some of those were, I forgot on the spot, but we covered how to write budgetary legislation and just things like that. Do you have any initiatives you'd like to push in the following semester?
It's a great question. Other than kind of the campus safety that I previously touched on, I have no idea how that could be turned into a bill that we can allocate some money towards. But I'm open to all ideas. But I do believe for new senators and associate senators going through kind of how money gets allocated in the various presentations that are put on by the Budgetary Affairs Committee, I'd be more than happy to go through those again with individuals.
And then the second thing, you were kind of pushed for time at the end of there. Was there anything additionally you wanted to cover more in detail that you didn't get to?
No, actually, thank you for that offer. But no, I kind of just got through the last 2 paragraphs, but I got through most of the gist of it. So thank you.
Already speaker, I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine's questions is more regarding the role of budget. What experience do you have in managing budgets or helping managing budgets and whatnot in past roles or anything you've done in prior experiences and whatnot? If you understand what I'm asking.
Yes. So if you would, I'm going to interpret that slightly more broadly. Over the various breaks at my time at CSU, when I went home, my mom works for KQED, which is kind of like a sub development of NPR, and they do a lot of nonprofit work. And so I've kind of interned there and had a job there where I've been looking over the various budgets, looking at various campaigns that need to go through, and understanding where donors are willing to make the additional donation and where they're not. And so kind of that also has led me to have a lot of kind of interpersonal people skills. But I've not had to give a lot of speeches, which I'm not too good at this, but one-on-one conversations I feel like I'm really good at, especially when it comes to trying to figure out where people want to put their money.
Great, that's a really good answer. I think that's all I have, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Are there any other questions for this candidate? Seeing none, if you could step out and go ahead and bring in Senator Cordero. Thank you. If somebody wants to sing the fight song to cut the tension, you can. You're more than welcome to.
I think you should sing it, Speaker DeSalvo.
No.
I second that.
You're out of order. Assistant Senator Torres.
Just sing it.
All right, we do have, thankfully, Senator Cordero here to present for us. For what purposes do you seek recognition, Vice President Sandoval?
I would like to make a motion for the executive team to sing the fight song at the end of the budgetary affairs chair, whatever this is called.
I'm gonna
Election,
second-
ratification.
Can we
second that.
Can we hold off on that until after this process is done? Right, but like, can we, I guess we're already in the process of it. So is there a second for that? Okay, so.
Wait, just for order, point of information, whatever the heck. Is this you putting it after budgetary?
No, I think it's just to amend where it says in the fight song agenda, just to make executive members sing it. Is that what you mean?
Is that?
So we're gonna sing the fight song in the middle of the agenda?
If it's making the motion to amend the fight song at the very end, I'd be open for that, but given how much we have and it is 9:03, I would encourage we don't interrupt Senate.
I revoke my second.
Would you rescind your motion until afterwards, Vice President Sandoval? Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Sorry. All right, Senator Cordero, you have 5 minutes to present whenever you're ready.
Hello, Senate. For those who don't know me, my name is Alonzo Cordero/Cordero. My pronouns are he, him, and his. One of the senators for College of Business. Hopefully I could answer your questions as best of my ability. Hopefully my answers could show who I am as an individual. And yeah, that's pretty much my introduction.
Okay, we'll go into 10 minutes of Q&A, starting with the first raised placard. Yep, Chair Aslan.
Okay, I'm doing this question yet again. Chairs are dedicated to being as impartial as humanly possible within the space that you are chairing. How would you ensure that you were able to remain impartial, including needing to step down and allow your vice chair to take over the committee to remain that impartial voice?
That's a great question. Very contemplative. Well, for one, I'm very open-minded. I take everybody's insights and ideas equally. I don't have favorites and none of that. It's mainly creating an opportunity to have open dialogue and, being aware of potential inherent biases, but I just making sure as an individual, just keep an open mind, open conversation. And I don't know if that answered your question.
Secondly, how do you plan to represent marginalized voices within the space in making sure that everyone within the space has an equitable chance to be heard?
Definitely. Well, it comes with, I'm sure the question comes with DEI. What comes with that is just having absolute respect, diverse backgrounds, and then uplifting those voices of diverse backgrounds. Like I identify as Hispanic, more specifically Latino, so I have that voice to represent my Latinx community. I share a lot of experiences of representing unheard voices. In my high school, most of the population was not my own, and therefore I created groups and discussions within the community I share. But also I think it's also important to create open dialogue with backgrounds I do not share of my own. And so, uplifting those voices to be heard is a good way to be more inclusive.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Venture.
How would you define the role of the Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair?
Well, I would define it as obviously a leadership position for other senators to come up to me, ask questions about like specific finances within a bill or whatever it happens to be. I would say generally over the finances, but also act as a tool for people who have questions and just to be the answer for them. If I don't know the answer, I would work vigorously to find that answer. Or if not, then I'll find that person who kind of knows that answer.
Thank you. And then just one more question. Going into this next semester, what organization do you plan to keep in the committee? Like, would you use the file system it has now? Would you switch it up? What is your plan for structuring the committee?
Well, it's obviously big shoes to fill. Obviously, I have much respect, so I have a lot to learn from you. So I'll probably use the software that's currently used right now. If it works, then just don't change something that still works. Yeah.
Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have thank you so much for your interest in this role. My first question to you is, I know you're a college of business major, so I'm going to ask you something you probably understand is what experiences like in the past do you have with like the budget, or how are your plans to allocate budget and help others who wants to write bills with, for example, maybe some bills with a controversial large amount of money or whatnot. How are you going to help address these concerns and try to make sure our budget is being used responsibly?
Thank you for that question. Well, for one, I guess I should have said this. I'm a first year. Besides this musty beard, I'm quite young, but also naive. But I'm optimistic, and I like to keep an intellectual curiosity when it comes to things like that. And my major or concentration, because there's only one major in business, but in finance. So hopefully, I'll take what I'm learning for next semester and applying it to this, committee. Creating open dialogue with those who have concerns about like certain money, like certain amounts. Making sure, just using basic logic that it's properly being allocated. And, obviously having open communication between different committees and overall people who are interested and like who wrote that bill and just general questions like that, if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Speaker, yield.
Thank you, Chair Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How do you plan to balance ASCSU school and outside work if that's applicable?
Well, right now I'm a first year, so I do my work, but this will be, I've always had a lot on my plate because I want to be involved with the school, especially in my high school. I was immensely involved with a lot of things like student council, a lot of other business stuff, nerdy stuff. I'm working on being better with my scheduling. That's something I've, better worked on. So I'm very confident that now I'm, allocating time for like schoolwork and then obviously the essential work that will be needed for the chair.
What made you decide to apply for this position and why do you believe you're most qualified for it?
Well, I come with this position with the utmost humility. I thank Rob for nominating me. He told me I sold myself short, but if I am elected, which I do not feel more qualified than anybody else running, they're amazing people as well. Not saying that I'm sorry, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, of course. What made you decide to apply for this position?
Well, it will look great on a resume, but also, it's a leadership position. So it could give me the opportunity for why I came into ASCSU is hopefully make positive change and, hopefully see that reflect and stay on through the school.
And so last question, it's pretty common for committees to change their meeting times during the spring semester, with schedule shakeups and that sort of thing. If you do plan to change the committee's time and date, how do you plan to ensure that it is equitable for all members, both for older members as well as potentially new members?
Well, I remember when they were setting up scheduling for Chair Rancher was, she would ask everybody what would be the general senses of a good time. So I think I'll apply that for next semester as schedule changes in classes and all that, but also try to make it accessible through Zoom, but yeah, I'll ask, if there's any new members, how they would receive information about what we discuss in budgetary. So yeah, answer the question.
That's it. Thank you for your answers. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Kilburn.
Yeah, so in the previous semester, we've done a few initiatives with the Budgetary Affairs Committee. I'm pretty sure you've been there for them. And one of them was like educating people on how to write a bill properly for budgetary, that type of thing. Do you have any initiatives you'd like to see done or try and make happen?
Yeah, kind of, I was discussing with other new senators that we should not just have very experienced senators, but the senators come together for a little bit of training session, like how do you write a bill, what this stuff means. Obviously, we've kind of been through that in the beginning. And it's kind of our personal responsibility to know what a senator does and associate senator. But creating open dialogue for those who are still confused. Sometimes I'm confused with Robert's Rules of Order, but just creating an environment where it's okay to ask questions. And also just create off previous initiatives like that.
Can I go a little more in depth in that and ask how you plan to use the position as chair and its influence to make this environment kind of better and kind of specific goals related to that?
I guess specific goals, probably make preemptive thoughts, let's say we're in Senate and then maybe possibly budgetary question comes up to kind of answer it or add a point of information to it. Also push for people to go to budgetary committee. Specific goals, I guess, make it more known how much we have in the fund, discretionary fund. So how much we still need to use it in some sense. I know there's an initiative for that to kind of make a presentation to show how much money we got and where it's going. So yeah, also, yeah.
All right, I love that answer. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Seeing none, if you could step out and grab Senator Jensen, finish this off. And for voting purposes, when we do go into voting, this will be secret ballot because it's an election. And there are 4 candidates, but only 1 position open. You just write down the name of the person you want to be budgetary chair, and that's how we'll do it. If you want to abstain, just put abstention and you vote for no one. Senator Jensen, you have 5 minutes to present.
Fantastic. Howdy y'all, how are you guys? I'm assuming you're doing good. You guys just listened to 3 different presentations, so I'll try to keep it short. Respect everyone's time here. I really wasn't planning on running for this, but Kyle sort of put me up to it. But I feel like I'm still able to make a good impact on budgetary. Currently, my role is the University Affairs Vice Chair. Haven't been able to do too much due to my scheduling commitments and things like that. But this next semester, my schedule is going to open up, and I really want to try and make an impact. That's sort of the reason why I joined ASCSU was sort of the past 3 years and I haven't ever made an impact on campus. And this semester, this year, I really want to really take the initiative and really do something and make an impact on the people that I represent and the people that I sort of have things come with. So I think budgetary is a thing that falls closely in line with my sort of goals. I am a business major myself. I study supply chain management. And I pride myself on looking at problems in a different way and really pride myself on seeing both sides. That's something I try to bring to all committees. And during different those things that have been in here, different contention points. I know we try to say one side versus the other side, but I try to see both sides. and really talk to representatives from both ends of the aisle and see where things lie. So I feel like that's something in budgetary that I can really bring is hearing everybody's points and really ensuring that whatever outcome we come to will be for the best of the community and be the best of and will be the best option for the constituents that we represent. I think that'll probably be it. I'm better at answering questions than giving opening. So.
Okay, so I do believe I saw Senator Hill first. And then.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hello, Senator Denson. I thank you so much for accepting my nomination.
My pleasure.
So I think my first question to you is that you have been vice chair of the budgetary committee so far.
University Affairs.
University Affairs, my bad. What have you learned as vice chair? So I'm sure as vice chair, you're pretty close with the chair and you'll get to what have you learned as being vice chair for a committee member?
So to be honest, I would say that the biggest takeaways I've had is how to manage different thoughts and how to remain open to different perspectives. I feel like that's something where, due to, as I said before, my schedule has been very condensed this semester. I haven't had much time to really devote what I was hoping to. My schedule got much more busy than I was anticipating, and the length of these sessions and other commitments that I had were more than I anticipated. So I haven't been able to do too much in university affairs in regards to what Sammy has been doing and really keeping in the loop with him. But I feel like my biggest takeaway from being the vice chair is learning how to hear different opinions and how to sort of pick out different ideas that really work together and how to say, okay, the idea is mostly good, but there's some aspects of it that are flawed. Let's take out the good, let's combine it with another person's good, and let's make something that works out well for both of you guys while taking out sort of the negatives that may cause issues when it comes into this area. So I feel like there hasn't been too many takeaways, but I feel like my people management and being able to hear diverse opinions and being open to new ideas is what I would take away from being a vice chair.
Thank you. And you said you're a fourth-year business major, so this may sound like a dumb question to you, but
there's no such thing as a dumb question.
What experience do you have with budget and budgeting?
So budgetary, not exactly too much, but I've worked in and around budgets for a lot. I am always curious I've worked in retail for pretty much my entire life. So I'm always curious in learning different profit margins and how things work inside retail stores. I am a supply chain major and I have certificates in HR management, leadership organization, and business to business selling. I also run my own business. So while I don't have necessarily a history with budgets, I'm very adept at sort of looking at problems and finding ways to solve them. I feel like that's one of my biggest suits is I'm able to adapt to many different things and pick up on things very, very quickly. So no direct interaction with budget, but I've been around budgets for pretty much my entire work history.
And I know that there's a lot of many controversies of ASCSU is that, a little background, ASCSU is very much privileged in having this much money that we can have control over directly as student fees. And as a budgetary committee chair, you will have a very, very big role in managing many student fees. And it's like you're like the guardian of the vault, I guess, in that one way. So how are you going to use your position to address any controversy that may come out with bills that, say, for example, they put I don't know, 25,000 bill, that's a lot of money, and could be some controversy on that. How are you gonna without much bias going to alleviate any controversy, or someone disagrees with that? How are you going to mediate that, if you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, I do, 100%. So I really feel like that falls back into sort of my past answer, really being able to hear different ideas and be able to pick out the different points I think are applicable to the different problems. And so if there is any controversy, I've always sort of prided myself as someone who prioritizes psychological safety while in meeting rooms of everyone can have their opinion heard and be safe to hear their opinion heard. There's not going to be any repercussions or anything like that, or stuff that, like as I said, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Every person's input is valued into this. And so to address conflict, my primary way of dealing with it is making sure that I hear every single idea and really combining as a group to make sure that, hey, even if we don't necessarily all agree, it's all something that we can get behind. Because I think that's something as a group to really be effective is even if the individual members don't necessarily agree, it's something that all the members can get behind and support. So conflict didn't answer that greatly, but just making sure that everyone is heard and voiced, and really just making sure that everyone can agree upon a solution, even if they don't necessarily support it.
Thank you. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Mr. Speaker, how much time do I have left?
Your time has expired, Senator Hill.
Then I will yield.
Thank you. Chair Trout.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Hello. I'm very excited to see you up there personally. Also, just a quick note, don't sell your short. So sell yourself short. You've done incredible as the vice chair of University Affairs. So don't say otherwise. I refuse to accept it. How are you going to recognize your inherent biases within this position?
100%. So I'll be very upfront and honest. I grew up in a very rich white area. I grew up in Parker, very rich white area. My high school probably had 50 people out of 550 graduate that were people of color or anybody in a minority. And so I've been very open in recognizing that I do not share the beliefs of many other people that are in the area. And so that's where I pride myself in asking questions and really probing deeper than surface level, finding what the reasoning and sort of the beliefs behind people's comments are. And so I feel like that's how I will sort of address that, and also being open to criticism on the other end. I pride myself in being very open to criticism coming at me. I realize that I'm not perfect, as much as I like to think that I'm always making the right choice. I realize I make mistakes. And so I feel like being very open and prioritizing the space where people can criticize me. I don't want to be a dictator in the space. I want to be very open, and so I feel like being open to criticism, and also just making sure that everyone's voices are heard, because that's something that didn't happen when I was in high school.
Yeah, I'll hop on that a little bit as well. Since it will be your job to represent all identities, not just your own. How do you intend to ensure that you are doing this well in this position?
I feel like that is partially on me, but it's also partially on the other members of the group to make sure that I am doing a good job. There's only so much that I can see in my eyes. Different outside opinions really provide a lot more value. And that's something where inclusion and hearing the diverse thoughts is really going to be a huge emphasis. If that's something I really want to emphasize. Obviously in this space, it's been a huge contention issue. And so I feel like it falls just as much on me as it does you guys. To making sure that I keep the area open to everybody, but making sure that the different members that attend budgetary and any of the bills of review make sure that I'm keeping it open as well.
Just a quick point of personal privilege, gender inclusive language, so y'all. Yeah, no worries. Last question. It's pretty common for committees to change their meeting times during the spring semester. We were talking about this pretty recently.
Yep.
If you do plan to change the committee's time and date, how do you plan to ensure that it is equitable for all members, both for old as well as potentially new members?
100%. So I feel like that's current time is around 45 on Thursdays, correct? Is that the current budgetary meeting times?
It's 5 to 6 because
5
that
to
was the
6.
time that was most available to everyone.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, that will work for me next semester. That's something where I couldn't attend budgetary this semester due to conflicting classes. But if there does have to be any change, I feel like the best option for that will be to reach out into the Slack and be in front of here, make a point of privilege, have on paper, making sure that everyone has the opportunity to say, hey, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. And if it can work for them, find an option where they can, where I can send out different bills to them or whatever it's looked over, and they can email me ahead of time or see their thoughts or have an in-depth conversation with me ahead of time. And I can then relay those thoughts to anybody who can't come to the greater committee.
Awesome. Thank you for your answers. I yield.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Rencher.
How would you define the role of the Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair?
Good question. I would define the role as the Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair as being the primary person, or being the primary representative of money and budget and sort of logic within ASCSU. Budgetary Chair is on the front line of sort of looking at everything and really being front force. Money is a contentious issue. It's something that we all have a big say in. I mean, that the money that goes into the committee is something that we all pay for. And so I feel like the role of the chair is to ensure that is being spent equitably equitably, I can't say that word, but making sure that it's being spent fairly and evenly across all sort of facets, and making sure that, again, that's what I've said, everyone's heard and it's being spent on a good cause. And it's something that the Budgetary Affairs Committee can get behind, even if we don't all think that it's the right way. It's something that we can all agree on.
Thank you. And then my second question, how would you organize your committee? Like, how would you prefer to structure your meetings, communicate the agenda, that type of thing, or share documents with people ahead of time?
100%. So anybody who's interested, I would love to get them on sort of an email list or have a document with all relevant emails, and ensure that the agenda and sort of things like that and different points that need to be covered are sent out as soon as possible. Giving people as much time to look them over and making sure that they have adequate time to form quality comments. Not saying that and ideas that are formed on the spot aren't bad, but the ones that you have time to sort of think about and really think about the pros and cons usually result in better ideas. So really getting any relevant information out as soon as possible, and making sure that I have an accurate list of all members who plan to attend. Even if they don't show up, I would still love to get them that information and get their input.
Thank you, I yield.
Thank you.
So the 10-minute Q&A period has expired. We have 2 more people on the speakers list. I would entertain a motion seeking unanimous consent to exhaust the speakers list. If someone wants to make that motion.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to exhaust the speakers list with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent? Okay, we'll do this. If you want to make another motion that we could do by voice vote.
I'd like to make a motion to exhaust the speakers list with a placard vote.
Placard, okay. Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor of exhausting the speakers list? Yeah, that's almost unanimous. Okay. Okay, so the speakers list will be exhausted. Chair Oslam.
I just one final question from me at least. Sorry, I'm like everyone.
Very good.
So as a chair, you would have to be as impartial as humanly possible. How would you ensure that you keep that impartiality, including but not limited to stepping down or allowing your vice chair to take over when you feel you cannot be impartial?
I mean, I think you said it right there. If I think that I often like to think that I'm right and that what I'm doing is for the best of people, but I realize that I'm wrong. There's a lot of views where I have zero experience. I've never been exposed to them. There's a lot of issues in the space that I'm hearing about them for the first time due to my upbringing. And so I feel like the more and more time I spend, the more and more time I spend in this space alone, regardless of whether I become a budgetary chair or not. And even in university affairs, the more exposed I get to new ideas and the more that I sort of see how I react to them. And so I think personally, I have a pretty good gauge of how I feel about a lot of different issues. And if I know I can't be impartial, then I will allow these to step down. I'm very open to criticism and sort of people coming back at me in a friendly and good manner. I'm very open to that. And yeah, so I feel like, as you said yourself, if there's an issue where I feel like I'm too strongly opinion about it, I have no issue in stepping down because I recognize that I have a lot of different upbringing and different ideas than some of the other people around me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Kilburn, finish this off.
So in the past, this semester, Budgetary Affairs Committee did multiple initiatives, kind of like teaching the senators how to write budgetary legislation. And then, so do you have any initiatives that you would like to do this next semester? And how would you like to use your influence as a chair to better this space?
So I currently don't have anything on my agenda. As I said previously, I wasn't able to attend any of the Budgetary Affairs Committee due to class conflicts. So I feel like that's something where I work best off of hearing a lot of different ideas. I love, as mentioned multiple times, I love picking apart different ideas and saying, this is how these parts of ideas can work together. And so I feel like it may be a little bit of a slow transition, but I feel like once I get up and going and get transitioned to the role, I'd have a much better answer for you. But unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for that right now.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go ahead and have you step out, and then everyone that's out there as well will stay out there while we discuss and vote. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys' time.
Theo Reese. Alonso Cordero. Oh. And then Dinson, Dane Dinson, DANE. DINNSEN. And then. Where's Alonzo's placard? Okay, I think that's recognizable enough.
Cordero? What are you asking?
The first name,
That's spelled wrong. Alonso.
is there an O?
Mhm.
Okay,
Alonso. I think
cool.
I think he uses an S. Not a Z, but I feel like that's right. Okay. Regardless, Alonso.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell what you mean. So those names up there, either do the full name or the last name, or you could do first names as well. It's just up to you. Just any recognizable name that the candidate you're voting for would go by. Yes, Chair Rencher. It's a Z for Alonzo. Okay. And then Senator Hill, nothing. Okay.
Point of order, a point of information, we're doing discussion and debate on these candidates.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to skip discussion and debate because frankly, I don't think anyone's changing their mind on today's.
Do you want to make that motion? Do you want to seek unanimous consent to do that?
No, because I heard it sent over there already.
Okay, so we'll do it by placard then. Well, is there a second, first of all? Okay, we'll do this by placard to suspend a discussion and debate period. So all those in favor of doing that, raise your placard.
Point of information, does this need 2/3?
Point of clarification?
Clarification. Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I was in the middle of counting. I think I got 26 for us. And then the name's doing them. You can go ahead and put them down. How many? One. Okay, all those opposed? Abstentions? 2 abstentions. Okay. With a vote of 27 to 2, this motion passes. So we will just go into a voting period.
Then I just for a 5-minute break after the voted for the account.
Okay, all those in favor of doing a 5-minute recess while we count the votes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions? Okay. So I'll just say be back at 9:40. Pardon? Oh, solid.
Could I also just have legislative, well,
Hasn't
that
been-
row pick up the votes, so it's.
Yeah, that's what we'll do from now on. And then Senator Morgan.
Since Mia is a candidate, can associate vote or?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking of contractions. That was like
There's more here.
Is there a 5-minute recess?
Yes, you're dismissed. Be back at 9:40.
I wish we could be dismissed right now, but we got a lot to do.
So like, every time we get back,
Sorry.
No, I know.
Well. I need to go.
Wait. Ellie.
We need to stop. We need to stop.
Ben, you can't keep saying that, guys.
Also, that's how that's meant to work. Oh, cool.
Yeah. They're not all bad. However,
Yeah, no, 'cause like I also have, man, I've been trying to figure out what.
I need to. Wait, Ellie, come back. And turn around. So I can look at your back. Thank you. No. Well, that's maybe the wrong one.
No.
Actually, about. Yeah. They want to do it if they have time, but we don't like it.
Anything on Zoom?
Well, you should stay here. I don't have to.
You want to stay here? Right. I will be gone.
I will just look at the agenda. And it's,
You should have the.
I
I'm bringing
know, but I'm
preemptively people
lazy.
who have already left, so, or not even here.
All of these are gonna get tabled.
Yeah.
Everything is going, well, wait, I think, Rob is taking financial
All of
responsibility.
these are gonna be tabled.
Yeah, because we will not have enough time.
Exactly.
However, when it's tabled due to a time constraint, they typically will reappear on the next session's agenda.
Oh, what we're doing.
So if all of the new business,
Because I know that
if it gets tabled due to time constraint,
I
it
don't
will
know if you
automatically go on to the agenda the next
Like
session.
the bylaws as well as that you need.
Gotcha.
And not
I
like a
don't know.
motion or table until.
And I'm all hopped up on it.
Because with ratifications, I don't see it going super long. Typically with things like these.
You know, I thought that election was gonna go fast, but then it didn't, not as fast as I thought it was going to.
With Zoom. Well, it's gonna get loud. So are you talking about just doing?
No, I didn't, because I know that there was talk about moving it to the end of the agenda if we had time, and then there was talk about moving it to the spring.
It's gonna stay where it is.
That's what I was asking.
Yes.
If everyone can get to their seats, please.
30 seconds.
Give me about a minute.
That's the anti-Semitism and financial. Okay.
I will take off my shoe. There's a lady here.
Maybe finish.
Just sit down. Let's see what happens.
And if there are other people outside, if you could get those folks to, oh, and the candidates, yeah.
That might be good. That would be really important.
Yes, please, yeah.
Yeah, I think we don't need them for their own election.
We'll just leave them outside, leave them in suspense.
Never tell them. Let them wonder.
I believe in you.
Whoever gets sent the financial information.
But what's the reason?
That's how
I
they.
gave you time. You did? Yes.
Are you only really worked up? Can you send it again?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right. I gave the reason to Amy. Sorry.
No.
All right, do we have everyone back with us? Mostly.
And additionally, for transparency purposes, I counted off, and you probably heard me, every single ballot that I gave and every single ballot that I received was accurate to the amount of ballots that I gave up.
Thank you.
So since we have the vast majority of people here, I'll just go ahead and begin. Congratulations to our new Budgetary Affairs Chair for the second semester, Chair Ritter. Yeah, go ahead and come to the front and get the oath, yeah.
You're gonna love legislative tactics. Thank you, Sam.
Point of information, doesn't Elizabeth have to resign first?
I mean, technically, yeah, if you want to do that now, you can.
I communicated it via email kind of informally that I was going to, but I can announce for protocol purposes, I resigned.
And just to clarify, we're not clapping because you're stepping down.
We're clapping because it was short and sweet and it's 9:45. So go ahead and take the oath of office, Chair.
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mia Ritter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University.
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
I will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just so y'all know, the library is open until 2 in the morning, which means we open at 6 in the morning. So I've left my ending notes with Speaker DeSalvo, but this is where I will see a lot of you until next semester. So I just wanted to say peace out and have a wonderful rest of the week.
See you next time.
See you next year.
Okay, we'll now move on to SFRB ratification.
Speaker DeSalvo, I have a.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just have a quick motion to make. I would like to move the D&I and DI committee bill up to above ratification of SFRB members, since it won't need a lot of time because we've already talked about it, and I just need that to kind of get through because I know people are waiting for it as well.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. So all those in favor of moving that piece of legislation above ratification of SFRB members, we'll do this by placard. So raise your placard in the affirmative. I counted 27, 28, 29. Okay, no votes. Two abstentions. Three. So with a vote of 29 to 2 to 3, this motion passes. If we could reflect that change and the author could present the bill.
So where are we moving it?
It'll
That's
just be
above
above,
here.
yeah.
Oh no, the Roman numerals.
We could worry about that later if you just want to pull up the bill.
Should have been here. Oh, wait, no, I know where it is. I got it.
You could start presenting. You could start presenting.
Where's
So while they're pulling it up, some of the things I just want to say that we changed about this bill, we have taken all of the bylaw edits or anything that relates to the bylaws out of this bill. So mostly because like bills aren't really supposed to kind of like amend bylaws. It's supposed to be like a bill and then a resolution to reflect those changes in the bylaws. As well, it can, but it's like not normally gonna be done, as well as we just added a bunch more endorsements, a lot from exec and others just from different offices around the LSE and around campus. And since this was just added to the agenda, I'm pretty sure it needs to be read out in full.
Was this sent out in the weekly email or no?
See, this one was not sent out a week email. However, this one was sent out a week ago. If I find it, because it was a week in between.
Is there anyone who isn't?
I'm just going to ask that any new changes just be read out loud in full, just for accessibility's sake, since this wasn't sent out this week specifically. So any new changes.
If I could interrupt, it's to my knowledge that the only changes that were made were the endorsement list, and I'd be more than happy to have them read the endorsement list because, yes, lovely to look at. We also added, and we did. We also took out the bylaws, as well as adding the director of the Adult Learner and Veteran Services in the therefore clause. The bill, when passing, it would be sent there as well with the other SDPS directors. And yeah.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker, since this is a whole new bill, it would have had to be sent out again. It's not the same bill, it's a whole new bill. If edits were made, it's a different bill.
Edits are being made on the floor from the, currently it's the same bill and we are making edits on the floor.
So you cannot just bring us the same bill again. It has to be a whole new bill.
There's nothing that says we can't.
Yeah, from my understanding, when this bill failed the first time, there's nothing in the Constitution or the bylaws or any of our foundational documents that says you can't bring an identical piece of legislation up again if it fails.
Identical is fine, but this is a new bill. It's a new bill.
If it needs to be
I'm
read out
gonna
in full,
yield to my own redundancy, Mr. Speaker, because this is a useless argument.
Can I yield to the Chief Justice to explain this? Perhaps.
Yeah, we'll put this on Chief Justice Zacharias for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, I love y'all, I really do. What's the exact question here? Like, would you want a full reread of this legislation? Just so I understand exactly what the question is.
So if I could explain to at least to my understanding, now while the initial bill that was brought into the Senate floor failed, this is a new bill that's brought back. It's not the same bill that's brought back. It's a new bill that's brought back with amendments made to it, which means it's a new bill. Hence, it would have to have been sent out 48 hours in advance as a new bill and added with the bill number. All those processes were not followed.
So to use the logic that has already been used this evening, is it was sent out once, and so it's been sent out again, because we don't write the bill numbers when they get sent out on the agenda, because the bill numbers change depending on the order that they are in. And the thing, it is the exact same copy, is the exact same thing, using logic that's already been said tonight, so.
The logic that came by before was a bill, the same exact bill, which was added to the agenda, not a new bill. This, on the other hand, is a new bill.
If we could yield back to Chief Justice Zacharias, please.
So is the argument here that this bill does not have grounds to be heard tonight?
It is a violation of section 106 of the Constitution.
So I would like to make a quick point of order. There is an exception in the Constitution for hearing new legislation, as long as it is read in full in its entirety to meet the accessibility clause. So as long as the authors are willing to read it in full, that shouldn't be a problem.
You can read Mr. Speaker, with this conversation.
Yeah, if we could get, I mean, it's not necessarily an opinion from the Chief Justice, maybe some discretion from the Chief Justice before we move forward. I would appreciate that.
Basically, it's up to the chair, from my understanding of section.
Wonderful.
It says if the documents are not sent out 48 hours in advance, the chair shall open 5 minutes of discussion debate in regard to hearing the document, legislation, and/or presentation. All of y'all already went through this process, so I'm a little bit confused on why. To me, there's nothing else in the Constitution that would point to this bill not being allowed to be heard tonight.
Yep, so 5 minutes of discussion debate with the first raised placard. I saw Senator Morgan first.
I think the middle ground here, and to be equitable, is just to read it in full, because it's technically not 40 hours in
Point of
advance.
information, Chief Justice, I'll yield to Chief Justice Marcus.
Y'all already went through this entire process. There's no need for y'all to go through this process again. Y'all voted to put it back onto the agenda.
It's fine. I just send whatever.
I would say that for accessibility purposes, maybe read it in full. But that's up to y'all's discretion, but there's no issue with the Constitution with how this process laid out. It's already laid out to put this one back on the floor.
Okay, I noticed people put their placards down. If there's anything else someone wants to say regarding this, Senator Jensen.
Yeah, if we do read in full, would we be able to skip the endorsed by list? We all see it's very extensive, just so we don't have to read out every name that's on there. I feel like that's a bit excessive, just to respect everybody's time.
Well, the way the accessibility guidelines are written, there aren't caveats for endorsement lists. It's everything has to be read in full. That's the nature of accessibility.
No.
It's not the bylaws, it's Constitution.
I can read.
Chief Justice Zacharias.
One of my favorite things to tell y'all is y'all can do what you want to do unless someone challenges it. So if y'all don't want to read the entire endorsement list, that is up to y'all's discretion. And I'm not sure the court would hear any opinion talking about y'all not wanting to read the endorsement list in this situation. So do what y'all want to do.
Can I make a motion to skip the endorsement list?
I second that.
And then read the rest in full.
Yes.
Okay.
Skip the next part that doesn't have any
Okay.
real.
Do you want to amend that motion to seek unanimous consent to do that?
Sure.
Okay, is there any dissent? to that? Okay.
Just to figure,
So there is, so we do need to read everything in full as it is written in the Constitution, because that clause of the Constitution is what keeps us ADA compliant. I know that that is a long list. However, that is completely inequitable to decide that some of our constituents are not entitled to that information because they did not get that information ahead in advance. So we do need to read that list in full in order to be as equitable as possible, because that is important information. Someone, senator or associate senator, could be on that list, and it is important for the students to know who is representing them and who is endorsing what legislation. Thank you. I yield.
Senator Kelly.
could we not just do the new endorsements, because you can just go back and look last week at the bill, and then we can just read the new endorsements?
It has to be everything. So rather than discuss it any further, let's just do it.
You guys start at the beginning. You guys start all the way at the top. From the topic. Okay. What bill number is this? It is. Let's just start reading them and give it. Oh, 5209.
Okay. Associate Students of Colorado State University, 52nd Senate. Bill session.
What's the session?
12/7. Okay, session to be done by Senate leadership, date to be done by Senate leadership. Bill 5209, changing diversity and inclusion caucus to diversity, equity, and inclusion affairs committee. Disclaimer: our signature to sponsor is not the same as supporting the content of any piece of legislation. It is simply a statement asking for the legislation to be heard. Written by Ava Ayala, Senator, College of Natural Sciences, collaborated with Claudia Parizo, Senator, Purbeck. Sponsored by Sammy Trout, Chair of University Affairs Committee, Senator, College of Liberal Arts, Nora Osborne, Associate Senator, Pride Resource Center, Chair, Internal Affairs Committee, Kimberly Caracelo Perez, Speaker Pro Tempore, ASCSU. Endorsed by Ellie Lutz, Senator, Warner College of Natural Resources, Mia Ritter, Senator, NAC, Adrian Jones, Student Retention Coordinator, BAC, Dwayne Ruff, Director, BAC, Ava McCall, Senator, Women and Gender Advocacy Center, Adrian Salazar, Chair of Diversity and Inclusion Caucus, Senator, Pride Resource Center, Soleil Gonzalez, Pride Resource Center Program Coordinator, Jose Hernandez Alvado, El Centro Student Success Coordinator, Rachel Wada, Asian Pacific American Cultural Center, Assistant Director, Ricky Winston, Associate Senator for Pride Resource Center, Faraz Bukhari, Recruitment and Retention Officer, Senator for the College of Health and Human Sciences, Ruth Vega, Director of Traditions and Programs, Robert Long, President, ASCSU, Ariadne Ady, Senator, Student Disability Center, Zoe Kelly, Associate Senator, BAC, Charlie Williamson, Director of Inclusion and Diversity and Inclusion, Treasure Morgan, Senator, NAC, Rory Lowe, Senator, Student Disability Center, Nora Burge, Director of Housing Security, Elijah Sandoval, Vice President, ASCSU, Maggie Hendrickson, Director of Pride Resource Center, Alex Thompson, Student Staff, Pride Resource Center, Joanne Cornell, Director of Asian Pacific American Cultural Center, Sheza Mohammed, Student Staff, BAC, Sabrina Gebru, Director of Academic Relations, ASCSU, Ben Doxy, Associate Senator, APAC, Michelle Cadena, Assistant Director of Central, Delilah Lopez, Adult Learner, NAC, Osman Bashara, Senator, BAC, Christian Kilburn, Senator, College of Liberal Arts, Budgetary Affairs Committee, Pride Leadership Council, Ted Chasen, Business and Community Liaison, Megan Leiby, Co-President of House of Ovis, Orion Gizzi, Co-President of House of Ovis, Kenneth Kinnear, Director of Environmental Affairs, Jason Waller, Chief of State, Grace Krangle, Director of Marketing, Jose Garcia, Jorge Garcia, Deputy Director of Law and Policy, Jillian Cook, Director of Finance, Adeline Schumer, Senator for Adult Learner and Veteran Services, Julian Cook, Director of Finance. Oh, okay. Justin Melka, Senator for College of Liberal Arts, Appeal Committee, Deputy Director of International Affairs, Edmund Welch, Director of Governmental Affairs, Parker Doyle, Senator for the College of Engineering, Chair of Constitution Caucus, Dave Fargo, Director of Campus Engagement, Justin Dove, Director of the Student Disability Center, Kevin Milquire, Senator for Adult Learner and Veteran Services, Brandon Lowry, Chair of First Generation Council, Jason Van Rossum, Adult Learner and Veteran Services, Peer Advisor, Student Activist for People with Invisible Disabilities, Rahab Abdulabi, Senator for Asian Pacific American Cultural Center. Abstract: this bill aims to change Diversity and Inclusion Caucus into Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Committee to ensure that all bills, resolutions, and ledges are looked at meticulously through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, making sure that it upholds these diversity initiatives of fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community in all aspects of our campus. Whereas the CSU Principles of Community states that we have the right to be treated and the responsibility to treat others with fairness and equity, the duty to challenge prejudice and to uphold the laws, policies, and promote justice in all respects. And whereas the CSU principles of community states that we are accountable for our actions and we act ethically and honestly in all our interactions. And whereas ASCSU is a body that seeks to represent a student body comprised of a multitude of individuals and cultures linked by our common denominators yet distinguished by our unique experiences, according to the preamble of the ASCSU Constitution. And whereas in section of 602 of the Constitution, Article E, once ratified by the Senate, a caucus becomes a permanent entity. A caucus and date can be stipulated by the legislation which created the caucus originally. And whereas with the clause under section 602 of the Constitution stating that caucus can be removed through resolution that would add an end date to caucus, which conveys that if done correctly, the that caucus would be removed. And whereas the creation of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Committee, also known as DEI Committee, ASCSU Senate upholds the principles of community by creating a space that challenges any hidden prejudice and confirms that bills are structured to be equitable, inclusive, and diverse for every student. And whereas a major difference in committee and caucus is that legislation must go through the committee and be reviewed in order to reach the Senate floor, while with caucuses, legislation can be looked at, but they have no authority when asking for changes. And whereas the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion being present in legislation helps to serve not only the students, but staff, faculty, and others, as well as, and whereas the jurisdiction of the University Affairs Committee is pertaining to the university-wide student needs concerns, as well as any matters relating to building external partnerships with local, state, and federal governments in order to respond to CSU student needs or concerns. This makes it too broad to look at legislation specifically with DEI in mind, and whereas the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Committee's jurisdiction differs from University Affairs Committee's jurisdiction.
Differs from the University Affairs Committee jurisdiction by having the lens of this community specifically for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And instead of it being student needs for the university, this addresses student needs for their identities and helping to create equitable resources. And whereas the 52nd Senate passed Resolution 5202, dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusion on September 21st, 2022, promising to uphold diversity, equity, and inclusion within the ASCSU space. This resolution passed 33-0-2. And whereas diversity is a measure of how an individual's personal characteristics different from those of the normal majority of an organization. Inclusion is the act of ensuring that people experience within an organization are not impacted negatively as a result of their personal characteristics. And whereas it is important to acknowledge the difference between equity and means that the same must be provided to all. Whereas through a brief search, colleges have implemented their own committees centered around diversity and inclusion. And whereas seen in many senates, there is a lack of diversity when it comes to senators and legislative cabinet, which does not properly represent the diverse populations in each college. So with the creation of this committee, it aims to rectify the imbalance. So therefore, be it hereby further enacted that the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Chair will be subjected to follow the ASCSU Committee Chair job description and is entitled to the compensation outlined with the University Internal Affairs Chair. And therefore, be it hereby further enacted. The bylaws of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Committee will be written and voted on by the committee at the latest of its second committee meeting. Therefore, be it further enacted, the committee chair will be paid for the remainder of the 2022-2023 academic year at par with the University Affairs and Internal Affairs Committee chairs. This amount will be drawn from the ASCSU payroll fund. Therefore, be it hereby further enacted that a copy of this legislation be forwarded to Maggie Hendrickson, Interim Director of the Pride Resource Center, Dora Frias, Director of El Centro, Joanne Cornell, Asian Pacific American Cultural Center, Dwayne Ruff, Director of Black African American Cultural Center, Ty Smith, Director of Native American Cultural Center, Casey Muslim, Interim Director of the Women, Gender, and Advocacy Center, Justin Doug, Director of the Student Disability Center, Rick Miranda, CSU President, Tony Frank, Chancellor of Colorado State System, Ben Schrader, Director of Adult Learner and Veteran Services.
Point of clarification, if we could update Maggie's title to Director and Ricky as the Senator for the College of Natural Resources.
That's an endorsement.
Yes, that's it. Also, Mr. Speaker, I motion this bill to be expedited with the consent from an ASCSU advisor and the Deputy Director of Finance.
So just to clarify, you have those two things?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, there's the motion to be expedited.
Seconded.
Okay, so we'll do this by placard vote. All those in favor of expediting?
Didn't know that included me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Just a quick point of clarification, would we still be able to make edits? Okay, that's fine.
Wait, we're voting? Is the
I count.
director of the park. It's not interim. She's not just there. That's changed. Also, is it somewhere else? At the bottom.
Are there any on Zoom?
There's one.
One. Okay. Are those against?
All those against? And then abstention? Okay, so with a vote of 28 to 2 to 4, this piece of legislation is expedited. So that essentially means we'll go into discussion and debate period and then vote on it. Chair Trout.
So because it was stated to, we can still make floor changes onto it. I would like to add Amy Parson as the upcoming CSU president on the sent list. At the very bottom.
And then Chair Salazar, did you have anything or no?
For discussion.
Okay, and then Chair Doyle.
So this is just a question, but can we add back the bylaws amendments to the bill?
Also, as a part of information, it cannot work as a committee without it being amended in the bylaws.
Yeah, he's right. So there would have to be a separate piece of legislation amending the bylaws after this is passed, if that clarifies everything. So the passage of this legislation doesn't mean the committee's automatically created. The bylaws would have to be amended and then it proceeds to take place. Yep, Senator Reese.
So then what's the point of this bill?
The point of this bill is to pass it initially and then worry about the bylaws later.
I would make the argument that even though it's not being added to the bylaws right away, it would still be a functioning committee because for those who are not aware, there used to be a fourth committee called the External Affairs Committee, and it was still in the bylaws until last year. So obviously it being listed specifically is not entirely necessary because we still had a running committee even though it wasn't a running committee. We didn't ever elect anyone for chair or any of those things. So editing the bylaws later on is for congruency's sake, but this would still be making it be an active committee.
Senator Raithy, not to be argumentative, the bylaws supersede any piece of legislation that's passed regardless of constitutional amendments.
The bylaws don't say there shall only be those three.
It does actually.
Does it where?
It specifically enumerates them
It's
in the
section
bylaws.
6, Senate committees B, there shall be 3 Senate internal committees.
Yes, it does not say the word only.
That's okay.
It's fairly specific. If you want to seek a court opinion, you're more than welcome. But for the purposes of going forward, the bylaws have to be amended for the committee to actually function as a committee. That's no matter how you flip the piece of toast, it's butter side up. Sorry.
Point of order, if it's the end of the bread, then.
It's a good point. Okay, so are we ready to enter into discussion debate? Any further clarifying things?
Could we add a therefore clause amending the bylaws? Would that be something we could do?
So to like add the bylaws back into the piece of legislation?
Yeah, like our Chair Douglas suggested.
That's either up to the body or the authors if the authors want to make that change. if you would be willing to put the bylaws amendment, the bylaws therefore clause back in to just get it all done in one fell swoop, rather than going back after the fact and changing the bylaws as well. Now you two have to make a very hard decision.
Can we give them 2 minutes to think and move for a 2-minute break?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
For your information, adding the bylaws will require a 2/3 vote to even, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay, so all those in favor of a 2-minute recess, say aye. All those opposed, abstentions? Okay, be back at 10:13.
What is going on, man? What is going on?
Man, Nick, what classifies as, out of everyone who's here, what is 2/3? How many people?
2/3.
Not counting association.
This
See,
association.
this was an associate vote. I'm not
Not
sure. 2/3. I don't think we have. I don't have a number of what 2/3 of voting legislation members are.
The thing is, we have.
Wait a second. There, no, see, that wouldn't work either.
That means that our numbers.
Wait,
What happens if they don't add the bylaws?
And it would be.
This, right, this bill would pass. There'd have to be another.
Do they have to bring another piece of legislation here?
There's a portion here further down subsection G for the 3 internal committees. Says Senate can create another committee by passing a bill.
So that means that we wouldn't feasibly need to do a bylaws
I mean, I
edit
would
until
be
after.
open to anyone else reading this to make sure.
Can I say?
Marcus? I love how Marcus.
Right,
because that's, this is the real opinion. I love you guys. The worst that could happen is it doesn't pass.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, they don't need a bylaws.
They're so hurt.
I'm know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ava, you're fine, my love. Ava.
Constitution.
It's a little contradictory.
Oh, if you go through the Constitution and bylaws, it's all contradictory.
So what is that from? Is that from the bylaws? Or
From the
the bylaws?
And there's nothing in the Constitution specifically about
committees?
Not about the exact number that we have off the top of my head.
I think it does list in the Constitution.
Can you pull up the
Constitution has nothing to do with committees except it declares SFP soft and SFRP special.
It's like that's the immediate read. We're double checking with the Constitution also to make sure there's no, because the bylaws can say what the bylaws say. If the Constitution says something different, the Constitution is only rules. So we're just gonna peek really fast and not do a quick answer.
All right. So there's no need to do that anymore.
Oh. Haven't lived any others, so I mean, it's the best I got.
So that.
Because I have to do my SFRD replication checks. And honestly, I'll sit down.
All right, but I'm sorry, it's gonna get loud.
If we can make our way back to our seats, please. So you have author's rights. If you want to make any change right now, you can do it.
Between the two of us, we have agreed to add the bylaws back to this bill. So we will be adding this version to the previous version that was sent out.
Right now. Okay, I got you. What one was it sent out? I didn't know if there's anything else I need to say.
Mr. Speaker,
Oh.
I don't want to do this, but since it's been a precedent for tonight to make everything political, I call for quorum.
Point of information, so, do you want to speak?
So,
Wow, that's transparency. Right.
so here's what that means. We always assume that we have quorum and our business can be conducted until someone calls for quorum. If they call for quorum and we don't have 51%, two-thirds of the Senate present, we can still do things, but the next time we come back to Senate, we have to approve the things that were done. So, yeah.
Point of information, is that in the bylaws or is it in the Constitution?
So that is in the bylaws to call for quorum, but the amount of quorum is in the Constitution. I would also state, however, that it is the chair's discretion that he can go into a preliminary meeting to discuss legislation even without being in quorum.
Yeah, I don't have an attendance sheet up here with me because our clerk is gone.
Point of information, can the person who calls for it to leave, for the quorum to leave the space?
Yeah. Pardon?
No,
Can the person that called for quorum leave the space?
Point of information, yes,
No idea.
it has been done before.
Do we count the placards left out? Do we?
There is nothing that limits that behavior.
Do you get the attendance sheets every time of like who's here?
I do not. Officer Bukhari, do you have attendance sheets or no?
And you sat back there?
Where have you been for the last 2 minutes?
Please don't tell us you deserted your post for a minute, because that would be a little embarrassing.
I was connecting with the greater CSU.
Very serious conversation. Point of clarification, Officer Bukhari had to use the little men's room.
Don't take that long.
So do we just download this one? And I think all we need to do is copy and paste it. The thing is, this, you should probably keep this one and then just copy from the
I don't
old bill
think this
or
is
delete.
germane.
Okay, the thing is.
So how much do we need?
Like, here's the thing, the old bill has all of these.
Okay, while he's figuring that out, if you all wanted to share, like read back aloud the amendments that you make for the bylaws.
Okay, so now the things that need to be changed, honestly, it'd probably be best, I don't want to say delete all this and then just copy everything from the last bill, but it might just be easier to do that instead of going through every single thing.
It's I believe the quorum is of voting members, not just general members. That's my interpretation. Yeah. So it's just vote, so just senators.
Senators and chairs.
Or associates filling in.
Right.
Delete the whole thing.
Or associates filling in.
Yeah, delete.
Or associates filling in. Is there anyone whose
No,
senator is
which one is
not
this one?
here that's
This
voting
is
in place of their
One from
senator?
11/20. Okay.
That's an associate right now.
Anything?
Okay, then we won't worry about that.
This is the one, this is the early one, so this one has the buttons.
Okay, so how many
So
people
the
are
thing
here?
is, we need to, this is the conference clock. Okay, we can delete the
And I don't
endorsements,
know
copy
the
and paste the
information,
endorsements,
so
and then.
the denominator voting members, does this mean at the
think the last
beginning
thing
of today or in general in the Senate history? So
This.
every senator
So we
that
have
signed
to
up to be
step
in
by
the Senate.
The beginning of
Let's-
today.
yeah, let's do
Okay,
it.
That's quorum.
We can delete all of the endorsements. All of these. Oh my gosh, please, please,
Point of
please.
information, if you're in the doorway, do you still count?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
You have to be present to win. You got to be in the chamber.
Wait, are we using register?
Yeah, we're
I'm
just
not.
doing a roll call.
Oops, that's why. Bro, I was gonna
Um,
cry. Oh.
If
What
folks
just
aren't in their seats, I don't consider them here. If they aren't in their seats or they aren't on Zoom.
Why did you
So
do-
Okay, who's on Zoom?
There's 5. Let me, wait, can you pull up Zoom? Oh, wait. There is.
Okay, so.
Okay,
Sorry, who's here?
there's,
Okay, who's on the Zoom?
I don't know.
There's
So Senator Associate, I think.
No,
2 senators and an
Yes, and,
associate.
Chair Aslan, if you want.
Is Mariana.
to take your
Sorry,
seat,
3
be
senators
counted.
and an
3
associate.
senators, 1 associate.
Is the associate representing
Both
their?
of my senators
No,
are here, I'm
Mitchell.
not a voting member.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Mitchell is private.
Okay,
Yeah. we
Hi,
got-
y'all. If you're a senator with voting rights, can you please raise your placard?
They should.
Wait, no, this is, I need the old one. I need the new one that we just did. Keep consistent right now.
Okay, I think they're coming.
And then on Zoom,
Yeah.
There's 3.
There was
you could go ahead and put your
1.
placards down.
No, there's 3. There's 3.
3 on Zoom.
3
Mariana,
on Zoom?
Des, and
No, 3 on Zoom, that was 31.
no, I added.
The 3 on Zoom, okay, so it's 20.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm gonna
can-
count it again.
Don't mess up the building, guys. It's not 6 at night.
Okay.
How much do we need to file again?
2/3. We don't have it. I'm gonna be totally honest. Please,
Come
please.
on.
I'm gonna cry. What just happened? So nothing happened?
Unless, do we want to ask for further reasons like this?
I can't deal with this computer.
So there were initially 44 voting members present at the beginning of the night, and there are 28 present here between now and Zoom. That does not meet the 2/3 threshold, so we do not have a quorum.
So just as a point of clarification, that means anything we do for us tonight won't have any binding purpose.
Right, until we vote on it when
So
we
any future
convene.
legislation.
This bill will fail and the
Ooh.
Oh.
clause will fail.
Right, because it hasn't been looked at yet.
Interesting. Okay, just wanted to confirm.
Can I motion to adjournment then? No, rescind your motion.
Please.
Okay.
Chair Aslan.
We're gonna make the same motion, but since there was dissent, no.
There's also something in the bylaws that says, if we adjourn all new business that wasn't attended to, I have the authority to send it to committee. And so we might not get to our new business, but that doesn't mean the process doesn't keep rolling. So I would really like to try to get through SFRB. Please, don't make this hard, please. Is there anyone else? I saw placards.
Point of information, if nothing counts tonight, then the SFRB ratifications aren't going to count, correct?
Right, they wouldn't count. Everything we do is documented. Every vote we take from here on out is documented. It just has to be, when we convene next time, what we do now has to be voted on
Again,
again.
This is.
Yes.
Okay.
so there's no point to continue.
Well, no, because
I'm just confused.
So there is a point to continue to finish through with all of our business, but all of that business would be lumped together essentially
Next session.
till next session.
Yeah, that's.
We've done on it.
I'll scroll down.
Can I motion to adjournment?
Just so you're aware, I already spoke to Vice President Sandoval and she was perfectly fine with waiting on SFRB until the first session of spring. So I second that motion.
So can I just clarify what would happen if we do not adjourn? If we do not adjourn, basically everything here will be considered a preliminary will be preliminarily considered correct, and then next session in not confidence. Basically, we'll have to approve the minutes of this session in order for everything that we voted on today to be valid.
Point of clarification, what vote do the minutes require?
It would be 2/3. Yeah. But the benefit, if we do get at least some business done tonight, that's all just lumped together. So we have to do one vote when we return, opposed to bringing every single thing up again and presenting it and then voting on it next time.
I rescind my motion.
Okay.
Just as a point of information, would it be everything within the preliminary or preliminary, you understand what I'm talking about? If we did continue as normal and then it gets voted on next time, is it everything that we do or can that be split up?
It's everything.
It's everything.
It's
Okay.
everything.
Point of clarification, does that mean the ratification for budgetary affairs, like?
No,
Does that affect
it would just be up to
Up
this
to now.
point and further.
Okay,
So
okay.
everything that has happened already is set in stone.
Okay,
It's just anything between now and at the end or adjournment is what would be up for question.
okay, gotcha.
Yes.
I would make the motion because frankly, this bill won't get to, it hurts too much if it has to wait till spring. Other bills kind of gonna fall apart, so I move to adjourn.
I second that.
I'm so scared, I swear to God.
Okay, we're gonna have to vote on adjournment, since the motion has been made. We'll do it by placard. So all those in favor of adjourning, please raise your placard. Go ahead and put them down. All those opposed?
Yeah.
And then abstentions. And then any on Zoom. Sure, it doesn't matter. Okay, go ahead and put it down. So with a vote of 6 to 8 to 13, this motion does not pass to adjourn.
Point of information, so long they'll be lumped together so long as we are able to get through them in this session, correct? So if we are not able to reach, like, say, we hit the hard cutoff at 11 and certain bills and like new business and old business is not able to be seen, will they be counted in or no?
Yeah, so since we would adjourn, then I would just send those other bills to committee.
I have, I know we're getting a lot of point information, but I have a point of information myself, I'm sorry, but next session in the Senate, if, for example, so do we have any dissent from the consent agenda? If someone does dissent, whatever we do now doesn't matter? Is that what's gonna happen?
No, someone could dissent to the meeting minutes during the consent agenda time, but that would need 2/3 majority to essentially rip that from the agenda. Are there any other further clarifying questions? Chief Justice Zacharias.
This won't be a clarifying thing. I just want to announce I'm leaving after this just because we are approaching finals week and I hope that all of y'all are taking care of your mental health and getting the things that you need to get done. The one thing I do want to leave this space with is it's not about the egos and the personalities in this room, and we are failing students. If we're making decisions based on who is voting on what and not what is best going to benefit the students, then what are we doing here? If you're here to serve your own ego, then you are here for the wrong reasons, and you need to take a long look in that mirror. It's bigger than all of us. There's 30,000 other students here that count on you to make decisions to improve their lives. Just sit with that and think with that and really think about the decisions you're making in that space. Would you be proud to go tell those 30,000 other students that on the last day of Senate, this is what we did? With that, I adjourn. I not adjourn. You guys got me thinking about that already, but I leave. Bye.
Okay, so can we continue? Okay. Vice President Sandoval.
because Marcus is leaving, I would like to move SFRB ratifications until the first session of the summer or spring semester.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay, can we move on? I think we're in the discussion and debate period on this piece of legislation. So are there any points of discussion and debate? If not, we can move into voting. Chair Salazar.
I'm honestly just gonna motion the previous question.
Okay, all those in favor of going into a voting period, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. So I would. Oh, no, we are expediting this. So rather than do a roll call, I would entertain a placard vote. Someone wants to
I
make
motion
that
a placard vote.
Okay, is there a second? All those in favor of voting by placard say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions? Okay. So we are voting on this piece of legislation that was expedited. And so this vote determines if the caucus is changed into a committee or not with the bylaws amendment reflected. So all those in favor of this piece of legislation, please raise your placard.
He's voting.
Point of information, this is to expedite it, or is this to vote for it?
This is voting.
Isn't the default roll call?
Yes or no?
Right, the default would be roll call, but we did it by placard. Okay, go ahead and put them down. No votes.
There's 2 yeses.
Okay, so 28. And then abstentions? By vote of 28 to 1 to 0, this bill passes. Okay, SFRB bylaws. We have 30 minutes. I genuinely think we could get through everything we need to if we go fast.
Since the author is no longer here, can I motion to take?
Hi.
Not you.
Oh.
Sorry, can I motion to table the lift bill or the sunset clause bill?
Yeah, there does need to be an author present, and he's not here. So unless there's another author of that bill that's here,
He's the only one for that one.
right, then we won't see it.
Is the author of the Anti-Semitism Act here?
Those two, the financial responsibility and anti-Semitism, those are being pulled from this agenda.
Okay.
So we won't have to worry about those. Vice President Sandoval.
Yo. I don't know, the SFRB bylaws.
Do you have the
Oh, yeah.
Let's do committee changes real quickly. In internal affairs, this was discharged unanimously, and we primarily focused edits on word choice, a little bit of flow errors, a couple of things were changed, nothing really big, and then approving all of the edits that were made by Vice President Sandoval and Mike Ellis.
Any other edits by committee chairs? No?
It did not get sent to any other committees.
Oh, okay.
Just the internal.
Okay. So with that, this is in its final reading. I'll open up discussion and debate on this piece of legislation. Yeah, Senator Kilburn.
I trust the vice president and the committee's opinion. I'd like to motion the previous question.
Second.
Wait, I'd like to amend that to include Parker after me.
Chair Doyle.
Can we just scroll to something? I want to see if a change got made, and if not, I'd like to make that change. Or suggest the making of that change. Stop there, can you zoom in a bit? Can we add a minimum requirement of senators to, of voting student members for SFRB? It doesn't have to be 12, but like, can we have like, shall be no less than 8 or something? Just that way there's, yeah.
That's up to the author.
do you want to do
That's
that?
something you want, or
I mean. Sure.
What number do you want, Pleasure?
I'll accept 8.
8. I hear 4. I also heard 4.
25.
No.
So what are we fine with 8?
I second 8.
Is everyone fine with 8? Okay. Any other on the floor amendments?
So real quick, Chair Doyle, did you want no less than 8 plus the chair or just no less than 8 period?
No less than 8, period is fine.
Okay.
So that way there's enough people there to form a good quorum.
Cool.
Fantastic. And then Senator Coburn, if you want to make that motion again.
Okay. Motion.
Senator Reese, yeah.
I'm just adding and after 8.
Okay, Senator Coburn,
Motion to previous question.
is there a second? Okay, all those in favor of ending the discussion debate period, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions? And I would entertain,
Motion for unanimous consent.
is there any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, this passes.
Cool, thank you, bye.
And then what's next?
Financial Responsibility Act.
Which that was pulled.
Oh, that was.
As an author, I table the ADA bill.
Awesome.
Okay,
Oh.
and I think that's it for all the business we have to do.
Can we just move the ADA bill to committee?
No.
Okay.
It's the shittiest piece of legislation I've ever written. We wrote it in like 10 minutes. Please don't send it to committee.
Okay, then never mind.
Thank you.
And I believe that's it, unless any roll call. Yes, Senator Kelly.
Can I motion for beginning roll call and ending roll call?
See, we
Do
ran.
not do this. Because
Yeah.
if we do not,
to adjourn.
if we do not go and do any roll call, everyone who has left this session without an excused absence will be given a demerit.
Can we use the quorum call for ending roll call? Since we just did that.
Potentially, I think that's up to chair.
I don't think, we didn't go
Oh, you
person
said
by
committee.
person for
Yeah.
quorum, we just counted. So I would highly advise against using any roll call as beginning. It only takes a couple minutes, and we kind of ran into this problem last session where we didn't have an exact number of people who were there at the end.
Yeah, I'll rescind my motion.
Thank you, thank you. So I think Officer Bakari will call the roll. While he's pulling that up, did I have a couple things to go over? Maybe.
Please can we just be done there? Please.
Yeah, well, he's pulling it up right now. It's really brief. For next semester for guest speakers, I know we kind of focused more on the university side. We've got some heavy hitters coming next semester. Some politicians from the area and politicians you may know of. So I'll update you on that when the time comes. Chair Doyle.
So am I correct in assuming that we were planning on adjourning after ending roll call?
Yes.
Then can I make a senator report?
Sure.
Cool. So basically, since Constitution Caucus is planning on being dissolved soon, I'll be writing that bill during winter break, probably. After that, I plan on focusing my attention on revisiting and making modifications to the Senate bylaws because there's a lot of gaps in that, as we have seen in this session. So I plan on going through that and making adjustments to further clear out all the data and get rid of the contradictions between the Constitution and the bylaws. If anyone would like to help me with that, it will be long and tedious, but you can just tell me somehow on like Slack or in person, and we can go over that. I yield.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone that's here. Your dedication to this organization is appreciated. The recruitment and retention officer will call the roll.
Shall we? Okay, let's begin. Senator Abdinabi.
Here.
Chair Osman.
Here.
Senator Ati.
Here, please don't fall again.
Senator Ayala.
Here.
Senator Barbone, Associate Senator Barbone.
Here.
Associate Senator Barron.
No.
Associate Senator Barton. Senator Belker. Associate Senator Bernard. I'm here. Senator Bushara.
Here.
Speaker Pro Tempore is not here. Associate Senator Chacon.
Not here.
Senator Cordero.
Present.
Senator Correa.
Not here.
Speaker DeSalvo.
Here.
Oh boy. Senator Dietz.
Jensen isn't here.
And Chair Doyle.
I am here.
Senator Epperson. Senator Ford. Okay. Senator Hill.
Here.
Associate Senator Jack Hughley. Associate Senator Jacobs. Senator Johnson. Senator Juarez.
They're here.
Here.
Associate Senator Kelly. Senator Kelly. Present. Senator Kilburn.
Real.
Assistant Senator Kimberling. Senator Kramer. Assistant Senator Laffey. Senator Laffey. Senator Lowe.
Here.
Senator Lutz.
Lutz here.
Sorry, Lutz. Senator McCall.
Here.
Senator Melchior.
Here.
Senator Melka. Senator McHale. Senator Morgan. Senator Nguyen.
Yep.
Senator Nyambe. Senator Paraiso.
Here.
This guy's not here anymore. Senator Reese.
Present.
Former Chair Renfrew. I guess Chair Ritter.
Chair Ritter, what? Sorry, yes, present.
Chair Salazar.
I am here.
Senator Sanchez.
Here.
Associate Senator Saunders. Senator Schmidt.
Here.
Chair Schumer.
Present.
Senator Shetty.
Thank you
Senator
again.
Shamsher Singh, or Senator.
Oh, yeah, of
sorry,
course.
sorry, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Love the gloves.
Thank you.
I can do that.
Parliamentary Senator Carr. Senator Taylor. Here. Senator Thompson. Associate Senator Ben Torres Doxy.
Present. And we did it, Joe.
Yeah. Senator Weaver. Senator Ricky Winston.
Here.
Senator Wright.
Present.
Senator Zhao.
Michelle's here.
Associate Senator Monanti.
Still here.
Associate Senator Takatis. Senator Reed.
Here.
Associate Senator Straught. Associate Senator Kirk.
Oh, Mitchell says here.
Who's here?
Mitchell Kirkgate.
Mitchell Kirk.
They're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone who wasn't called? No. Well, with that, have a great time on your finals, do well, and then have a fantastic break. We adjourn.
Access to the YouTube.